Now you're playing with podcast.
All right.
Welcome to Now You're Playing with Podcast. This is part 4 of our wonderful 101 countdown. We'll start at number 30 and go to number 11. Real quick, we'll just go over the list of VIP voters, former guests. Corey was a former guest. Jesse, the owner of Arcade Legacy. S1500, the host of Classic Console Gamer News. Ferg, the host of 2600 Game by Game podcast. Nicole, the mastermind of puregeekery.net. Stan and Amy from electricfrankfurter.com. Thomas Green, the editor of Joe Gagney's Funtime Pro Wrestling Arcade. John Hancock, organizer of the Cowlitz Gamers Convention for Kids. Ben Mullen, Tetris champ extraordinaire. Mike Lawrence, stand-up comedian, host of Nerd of Mouth podcast. Rick Wees, organizer of the Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Scott, former guest. UK Mike from Retro Gaming Roundup, and Focus RS, host of Arcade USA. And with that, I'm Chris, and we'll go around the room here.
I'm Steve.
I'm Tori.
Linda.
Brad.
Tatton.
Becky.
All right, and we will start with number 30.
Is this going to be Eye of the Tiger?
This is Donkey Kong. We all stumped right off the bat.
Brad's waving
Mass
his
Effect?
hand.
Mass Effect.
Oh.
Yes.
Nice. Good
Brad
call.
gets the first point of the evening, but we don't keep score.
You don't have to raise your hand. You can just yell it
matter,
out.
my dear.
I'm really, I can see your computer. I'm not reading it, but it's like when you're playing cards. I have an unfair advantage.
You need
here.
a DM shield, like a DM screen.
Need a whole
That's okay.
cam.
That's okay. So, Mass Effect. Have you played the whole series?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I played
Brad's
through all
beat
three
it
of them.
all.
Yep, played through all three. Went through the Paragon path, of course.
Well, why, of course.
Explain that, because I never played
Because
it.
essentially you have they give you a lot of choices for how you're going to respond to people and choices you make, and it affects obviously the rest of the game as you're playing through. And you have Paragon points and Renegade points, and depending on whether you're a dick to people or nice to people, you get points.
And
Paragon's a pretty pretentious word.
Yeah,
I don't know if they started this. Well, it's just a way of them saying good or bad, because every BioWare game is like, you do good or you do
Renegade's a
bad.
cool bad guy word. Paragon's just stupid.
But I don't know if
Is that
I've
making
only
a
played
Renegade?
this.
Do I get Renegade points for saying that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Dark Jedi points. I've only played the second one, which is awesome. I heard the first one wasn't as good as the second one. Anyway, but they did a good job of reinventing their conversation computer program, whatever, because they give you hints of what you're going to say, but they don't give you like the entire quote of what you're going to say, which they used to do in older games, and I like that because you don't have to read through every single option. You just kind of go with your gut, like. What they think,
So they try
Well,
to
and
trick
in,
you?
in the third one, you actually can activate the Kinect, and you can say it out loud.
Oh, cool.
Oh, really?
And it responds to your voice, and it picks it up, and then... Yeah, I agree. The Kinect is creepy. You know,
Assuming-
like Microsoft is watching us or whatever, but
Assuming the
it is actually
Kinect
pretty
can
cool.
actually
What happens if
read
you
what
have a
you're saying.
Silliman
I
S?
understand. Yeah. It knows. It's smart. I don't know.
Yeah. Sure, it does.
Well, it
It's the
gives you,
Kinect.
like, it shows you what the choices it wants you to pick from or whatever.
Yeah,
IQC.
it basically summarizes the choices for you, and then it responds based on those choices, and gives you more fleshed out backstory.
And if you don't feed your fish, they die.
Yeah.
And you can choose
Aw.
as much or
Yeah.
as little as you want, really, to learn
So-
about, because it always gives you options for questions to ask the characters, and you can kind of skip over that if you just want to play.
Yeah, Brad didn't skip over
Is
any
it
of it.
RPG-ish? Is
Pardon?
it like the shooty McKill, but also level up RPG-ish?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's very much
Yeah.
like, I'd say, Gears of War, like take cover and
Beef?
But there's
Shoot a thing.
story. There's a lot
Okay.
of
It's not
story
just,
cutscene kind
bro,
of
do you
Yeah.
stuff to it.
It's definitely an action-based MMORPG.
It's it's a
Or not.
Morpiga.
Yeah. Well, kind of. It's not really an MMO.
it's a one-player game.
It's
Yeah.
it's an RPG, but it's got the that kind of a
Morpiga
feel.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You go to different planets.
It's a very, very large galaxy that you're dealing
Are
with.
there lesbians in that one?
You can,
You can
yes,
be,
you
yeah.
can
Yeah,
be.
you can
You
be.
can be a lesbian or you can be gay,
Yeah, you're Shepherd, but you can be
and you
guy
can
or girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And there are lots of choices on if you want to, get with a guy or get with a girl or get with an alien.
Do you
Yeah,
say this one is more narrative-driven than game-driven?
Definitely.
So the
Actually,
game is kind of
it's actually
so-so.
it's a pretty good mix for being an
it's
action
a good
arcade.
The action is
For an
exceptional.
RPG, for an RPG,
Like,
it's definitely an action.
way better than
game.
like Fallout, like fighting.
We voted to combine all 3 games. This might be
there-
controversial, but I guess the argument that convinced everybody was that since it was a continuing story and you kept your game saves across all 3 games, that would make it eligible. Just for record keeping, Mass Effect 1 got 5 votes, Mass Effect 2 got 3 votes, Mass Effect 3 only got 1 vote.
Did Mass Effect 1 actually get 5 votes, or did people just say Mass Effect series?
I don't have that in front of me.
There were some of those, and if they had extra spaces, it was split out.
Okay,
1, 2, and
gotcha.
3, vote for each.
Which I would actually be kind of surprised about that voting, because there was definitely a progression to the game.
Yeah.
I heard a lot
quality.
of people bitching about the ending.
Yeah, the ending definitely. I didn't see the original ending because I didn't get it quickly enough, and I didn't play through it quickly enough. So basically, when I popped in 3, it prompted me to update it with the updated ending.
Holy
so
shit!
It's really weird that
So
they
they rewrote the ending.
they kind of fleshed out the ending a bit more.
And there were 3 choices, like good, bad, or neutral, or something.
Yeah,
And it, like, one of them you destroy the entire universe, or
I've heard that there were just tiny little things that would happen in 3 that you don't even remember you did in part 1.
Yeah, and it messes your whole
yeah.
thing.
I do have to say that they definitely did a good job of closing a lot of the open-ended questions in the third one. Because I remember playing through 1 and then playing through 2 and asking, well, what about this or what about that? Mm-hmm. They actually did a pretty good job of closing everything.
Oh, and voiceover geeks like me, Seth Green is
He's
the
the pilot.
captain of
Nice.
Normandy, the pilot of the Normandy.
And he was that throughout all 3.
Yeah, all 3. He
The
did
game's
the
just-
Joker.
just
yeah,
reek of money. They just are so expensive looking, and you can see where the money
it
went.
is.
Like,
It is
the
gorgeous.
character
visually.
design. They created a whole world, a whole new kind of Star Wars type of world,
Oh wow!
alien species, and you could read for days all the extra crap that they
Yeah,
have.
like,
You read about every alien.
What would you say your gameplay time on that is, Brad? I mean, I watched you play it several times. I was like backseat wife gamer.
It was,
Shoot them! Shoot
Was it fun to watch?
exactly.
It's fun to
That's
watch, though?
It is.
It was-
It is fun to watch because it and especially because Brad likes to put on put the captions on so that you can actually, like, if you can't understand them very well, you can kind of see what they're saying.
I do that too.
Yeah. Although some of them are really tiny, and if you have horrible eyes, like those of us with thick glasses in this room, which is pretty much everybody,
Sorry, Linda.
you have to kind of sit close to the TV.
What kind of loser are you without
Yeah,
glasses?
I'll play a game like that, and my
I
girlfriend
wish
will
I had
watch,
glasses.
and I'll just kind of go really fast through the dialogue because, like, I know kind of what they're saying, and I don't really care sometimes. And she's like, "Why don't you read everything that they say?" Like, I don't know. I just want to get to the fighting.
After 40 hours, you don't want to read
exactly.
everything they say.
You know what they're saying. You
It
know
probably
the gist.
it probably took me about 24 hours playtime to finish each of the games. It's probably a little
Not
bit
bad.
more skewed with Mass Effect 2 because it seemed like there was a lot more to do, like side quests.
Yeah, Mass Effect
wise.
2 was long.
And Mass Effect 1, you kind of get towards the end of it where you just want to beat the game.
Do we like
'Cause
where
it's so
this
redundant.
direction of gaming is taking us? We're getting more and more away from a game, a challenge of skill versus really fleshed out interactive narratives.
I have to
I-
say,
I-
I
I know
miss.
that's a big, giant conversation we can have and take up an entire podcast with, but in general, I'm kind of uncomfortable with that idea of the interactive narrative taking over.
Yeah, I do miss the games that you can just pick up, play for a little while, and put away, and then not play with for 6 months, and not have to pick it up and replay everything you've already played.
You don't know where you're going
Because you don't know where you're,
But
you're
I have that
going,
problem
where
with
you've
RPGs
been.
from 20 years ago, though. So yeah.
Right. So I still want. So I don't wonder. I just wondered now if there is actually a St. Peter. Are they going to be able to tell us all of the time we've spent in each of the games we've played? I would love to have. I would love to.
The NSA can.
I am no good at skill, so I really don't care. That's my opinion.
Well, okay.
I'd
so
rather
quick
play a
time
Final
events can go to
Fantasy.
hell, but
I'd rather
All right,
play
no Final Fantasy talk unless
a
it's a Final Fantasy
Pikmin.
game.
I'd rather play a Silent Hill than play a Bump and Jump or an Asteroids or something or another where I have to,
This
or a
game's for
fighter,
everybody.
or a fighter where I have to memorize a button sequence. And,
yeah, I have no dexterity.
But you
or-
play like Bejeweled all the time.
Yeah, but that's
It's a
point and
puzzle
click.
game.
puzzle games are.
Yeah, puzzle games like Tetris bubble, whatever stuff, the other things.
The
you
bubbles
can't
and the
crush.
bubbles and the bubbles.
That's fine, but
I want some Jello pudding pops
Dr.
right
Mario,
now.
like that stuff's fine, and it's good to like just pick up and play. But I know I'm never going to be like seriously good at it. So
I think
Well, there's an accomplishment of being able to complete a narrative story too.
yeah,
Where you're like,
I
it's
don't
like
care if I
finishing a
put
book.
100+ hours. I don't think I've ever finished a Final Fantasy or a Silent Hill or
Yeah.
whatever. I use that as an example because most people have played it. I don't think I've ever finished it in under, probably 100 hours because I grind a lot and I do all the side quests. I sit there with my book open.
Dude, I missed
Horror.
this. Yeah.
I play with the manual and I just do everything and I just like doing it. And
But- Well, my big argument is video games are the only medium where you control what's going on. And when you have a giant narrative like that, even if you get to make choices, you are still playing through the tunnel vision of the person who wrote
Mass
it.
Effect is very
I don't
much
care.
different from like Uncharted. I think what you're describing is Uncharted, and
Wait,
Mass
are you-
Effect.
But
is,
wasn't the ending basically the same no matter what you
No.
Didn't you
The-
ever
the
read
original
Choose Your Own
ending-
Adventures?
I remember the original ending kind of was like that, where it kind of felt like you didn't really have any control over what actually ended up happening in the end. But when they fleshed it out a little bit more, where you could choose, more of a dark path where you get all the power, or a light path where everything's great, or a neutral where you're not fixing everything, you're just kind of leaving it the status quo.
Meh.
That kind of gave you a little bit more control over the final ending.
So yeah, by
But I
Mass Effect 3, you have a lot of control over how the game ends.
But I do kind of see where you're coming from, because you still have to kind of follow a linear path.
The absolute best video game narratives are still miles behind a good movie, a good book, that sort of thing. So video games shouldn't try to emulate other mediums that can't do what video games can do. They should take advantage of what they've got.
Well, like Becky just said, that it's kind of like one of those old choose your own adventure books where, it's preset, but you still feel like you have some control over what actually happens. And
I died
you
on
can
page
play it-
37. I'll go back to page 36.
No, I didn't take
you
my
can
finger off
change
the
people's
page.
perspective of you, and that follows through the entire game. Like they.
in a game like that, but even in a game that doesn't have that kind of convention, like the game that shall not be named, or Silent Hill, Resident Evil, like you can not do side quests. You can just play to get through. You can play it without trying to run from as much as you can or whatever. But I don't think that it's any less.
It's
valid.
a big long debate that we can do a whole episode on. So,
But one thing I would like to see eventually is somebody get into that niche quick hit narrative type game. There aren't really many of those where you don't have to dump 30 to 100 hours in order to see everything in the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Something that you can kind of pick up and finish in 10 hours that has a pretty deep story. But that's part of the problem, is writing something like that's deep enough within those 10 hours.
Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
That's why Portal's
No,
Portal hints at a lot more.
All right.
That's a deep storyline right there.
So let's just get back to shooting shit. Number 29.
Well, hey, real quick before we leave that topic, I will say there's a certain level of immersion that you get with a game that you get a lot more character development out of than that you can't get
Just
immersed.
hearing the words
in,
character development and story and narrative just makes me ill. But just a little bit. I mean, I can see the appeal of it, but it's just like if you're a good sprinter, don't try to focus on long distance running, or just don't turn away from your specialty. But that's again.
But
we
But a
can
movie,
argue-
you can't
yeah.
choose how the plot's going to go. In this game, you can.
and there are different genres for that reason specifically.
we need to do a whole show on this. It needs to be a
Yes,
show.
Okay, let's move.
To be continued later in another podcast.
Number 29.
Doom. Ooh, is that the original music?
Fuck yeah, it is.
Oh my god, that 386 music.
I watched my dad play Doom when I was younger, and that game scared the crap out
good.
of me.
It scared everybody.
Daniel Tidwell, you need to do a cover of that.
Yeah, he does.
I love how people praise the SNES version for their
No.
music. That
No.
shit compared to that fucking badass DOS version.
Who says SNES version
Well,
is better than
compared
that?
to other console versions.
SNES fans.
And that's the problem. Doom didn't really have a good console version because there was a deficiency in every single version.
Yep.
Yeah.
And apparently in 1995, the number one installed program was Doom over Windows 95. That was number 2.
Doom,
Beautiful.
Doom 64 is actually pretty good, and it has
PlayStation Doom's good.
all new levels. It's not like a copy of Doom 1 or Doom 2. It's all brand new levels.
Is it
I
proper
wanna say
Doom, or is it the awkward adolescence of gaming?
No, it looks like Doom.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Maybe actually a little bit higher res. Yeah,
Nice.
coming on the N64, I know. High res, what? So, but anyway, Doom was just irresistible. Like, you couldn't... If you saw that... Well, Wolf 3D, to a lesser extent, but then
Yeah.
Doom, you could not...
You didn't have to shoot dogs
Not play it.
in Doom,
Yeah.
so I was okay with
Doom
that.
was so good it made me buy a 32X.
I never really actually played Doom growing up
Mhm.
because I had a Mac,
You
so I
had a
played
Mac?
Marathon
Yeah,
instead.
Marathon.
I say I only ever played it on our old Windows 3.1 computer.
Does Marathon exist because of Doom, though? Did that come out shortly after Doom? Or
Yeah,
was that
yeah.
in...
Yeah, Doom was like 93.
Yeah, no, it was
94.
after.
Doom was like the leader for all of them.
Yeah, I was going to say, I played it like 95, 96-ish. My ex's father had it on his work computer. We would sneak into his office and go play it for a little bit, and I would get very, very frustrated, but I couldn't stop playing it, which is weird because I am not a shooter game person.
And it's move and shoot. There's strafing, but there's no jumping. There's no.
A
There's
little,
no.
there
There's
was
no.
jumping.
Aim, there's no.
I remember being very frustrated about not being able to jump into a
But
part
the
that I was
aiming is
supposed to
just
do.
forward. You don't have to worry about up or down
That's
dimension wise.
Right. I could actually play that one. And
Yeah.
I will say, like 95, 96, I went to computer camp. It was this summer of, I think it was my sophomore or junior year. We went to computer camp, and like there was we were in a room, and it was like, okay, everybody, we're gonna play Doom, and all the computers are LAN together.
Wow.
And so it was the first time I got the chance to play like multiplayer on it, and they were trying to get people with their abilities pulled aside, and they were like, well, how often do you play it? And I'm like, I play it every once in a while. And the other girl had never played it before, so I was doing headshot after headshot because we had like the
Your
shareware
regular
version.
Quistis. Oh wait,
Holy-
Final Fantasy alert. Sorry.
Oh,
Wait, you can't do headshots, though, because it doesn't aim. I'm just saying.
No, I shot. Okay, I shot that bitch over and over
Yeah,
again. But
God,
it
in
was
those
kind of unfair.
pre-Columbine days,
because-
they could feel good about doing that sort of thing. And
At
not feel
camp
guilty.
with little kids.
Yeah, little kids.
Well, how old were you? You were in high,
Well,
junior
we were in
high?
high school.
High school,
We were in
okay,
high school.
yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't. But it was, it was fun, and I loved it. It was wonderful to be able to put on the code, and if I had a bad day, I could just go in and be like, okay, demons and zombies and monsters could die.
And did we have Doom 2?
We had 7 votes for Doom 1, 2 votes for Doom 2.
They just did everything right with this. I mean, first of all, they made an amazing game that ran on computers and looked better than anything else, and then they gave it away for free. And if
Brilliant.
you wanted extra levels, you could buy them.
Brilliant.
Of course you would,
Yes. Yes,
or get them in by
And it was
whatever.
and it was written so well that now there's the whole "can it run Doom" mem now
Oh,
with
yeah.
all
Yeah,
technology.
yeah,
Install up Doom on whatever you
Original
possibly
Kindle,
can.
does it play? Yeah, it does.
iPod Mini, does it play the? Does it play Doom? Yeah, it can.
That's fantastic.
I guess maybe the music didn't work on the computer I was playing on, or I played it without music because I don't remember. Like this whole debate about the music, I don't even care because the sound effects are great. The ambiance was there even without the music. So
that
just me, though.
that was a great game. That was.
Still my favorite FPS, but that's
And
not-
that's I can't do
I'd go with
the
Doom 2.
camera. Yeah, I will go with Doom 2, and there's music in there that I really liked too. I can't do the whole camera thing, so when you've got that extra, you're using the dual analog stick, I want to throw up the whole time because I'm spinning in circles, and that's just not okay. Like having the camera kind of fixed in that.
I wonder if they'd try another first-person shooter like this, where they got rid of the auto, like get rid of the independent aiming and moving. with camera.
Metroid Prime did it a little bit. You could move up and down, but most of the time you didn't. You only did it to like look at things, and it would auto aim for you.
That would be okay. Like
Yeah.
that, I think that would be acceptable. It's like when the Tatton put a controller in my hands. It was like, here, play Halo 3.
Yeah. So yeah.
My
I'd
name's
love
Halo
to see
3, is
somebody
that
try
okay?
it though, because even Doom 3 had that standard
Well, they were going for
first-person
more of
shooter
the
mechanic that
horror
it is now, right?
feel.
Yeah, no, Doom 3
it
did.
did.
Because it was
And
like
flashlights.
Yeah, because a lot of it was dark, and if you had, I was told that if you do the surround sound, they did a lot of screwing with the channels.
Yeah.
So, like,
I
you know,
remember
if
that.
you had the speakers behind you, like, crap would whisper in your ears, and I'm not okay with that. That would
Doom
not
3
be
was
a
great
good
because
experience.
on Xbox because it included Doom 1 and Doom 2, and I played the hell
That
out of
is
those,
correct.
and I didn't play much of Doom 3. So.
That is correct.
And they
Well,
ran
okay,
really
so-
well, so there's another good console version of Doom 1
Value.
and 2. Yeah.
Super Saver.
Number 28.
Resident
Flash
Evil
Gordon.
2.
Resident Evil 2.
Nice.
Flash Gordon, what?
I just heard that big and I got the Flash song stuck in my head. Yeah,
Sounds like every other horror
he
movie.
saved
startup
every one of
thing.
us.
Wow, damn it. So Resident Evil 2 actually is ahead of the original
1 and
Resident
4.
Amazing.
Wow.
It was very much more popular. A
Yeah.
lot of people, this was the first
Well,
Resident
that
Evil
was
they played.
it was the two discs.
yeah.
It was the two different characters.
Yes.
So you
and
had-
this was when PlayStation was at its absolute peak,
Mm.
98? And, you know, it's a huge game, advertised really heavily. It had been years in development, and a lot of people bought it. A lot of people like it. The first is better, but it's a good game.
Resident
so,
Evil
yeah.
2 is the one that I'm pretty sure that I think of playing when I think of playing Resident Evil.
Resident Evil 1
Yeah.
in the mansion. Or which one?
No, 2.
This one. Okay.
Two, where you're
yeah.
in Raccoon City.
Two definitely was a lot,
Yeah.
in my opinion, a lot better than 1 was, and
I
just
have
because
really
it wasn't
bad
nearly
memory,
as frustrating.
So I
Yeah,
can't
it-
remember
There,
the
you
difference.
didn't turn at a snail's pace, which was always very, very
Oh my
frustrating.
It's not as much
God.
backtracking.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually what I don't like about it. It's
Oh,
too linear.
Was
Yeah.
2 liquors? Were
Yes.
liquors in 1?
Liquors on the... No.
Liquors on the
Liquors were
ceiling.
2. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, the dogs busting in the window
Liquors
was
make it
1.
quickers.
Okay. No.
Number 1 had those green hiki guys. Like,
I remember
Yeah.
the liquors. I remember there were cool action figures of the liquors, and they were creepy, and their tongue would. Yeah, that was scary.
but 2 was cool because you could play it twice. You play it once as
Yeah.
Chris and once as Jill. And
And that was
Yeah.
that was
We
the
rented
game-
it, so I only played it once as the girl because we had to play as the girl because
My idiot brother did. He beat it in 2 hours and 31 minutes, and was like, "I'm done. I'm
Have
done.
you
I can't do this
trademarked
crap."
that yet, Becky?
I can't help it. It is ingrained in my head. And the thing is that I think he's aware of the fact that I call him that.
My idiot brother, TM.
There's a movie
ID.
called.
he needs to have a T-shirt that says "Her Idiot Brother."
I think that's a new Now You're Playing with t-shirt. I'll get that up in the shop in next
and this game, a 2-disc
All
game,
wear T-shirts that say "Her Idiot Brother."
it was somehow ported to the N64 with all the dialogue,
Oh,
all
yeah.
the music.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know how they did that.
That was a
Yeah.
pretty technical achievement for
Yeah.
N64.
There was a lot of memory on that cart because that cart was heavy.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that definitely felt heavier than a normal cart did.
We got 8 votes for the PlayStation version, 1 vote for the Dreamcast version. Again,
No GameCube.
No, I don't think they did. They do. They,
Yes.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
did
they,
all-
I know they re-released all in the GameCube, but I
The
think
deuce
they were.
and the trace.
They're very low sellers.
I played it on Dreamcast.
Who's
the right way to
Veronica?
play it.
I don't know any Veronica.
But, yeah, we already did a lot of Resident Evil talk the last
I
couple
mean, this is
episodes.
the game that made it a huge epic story. Basically, they hinted at it in the first game, but this one really, it's all of Raccoon
and
City,
all of its
basically.
cheesy
Right.
Japanese version of American glory.
Yep. yep.
And to think I've only actually read the comic book in German.
Wow.
I have a German Resident Evil comic book somewhere in my house.
That's
Oh, Tatton's
awesome.
got that terrible action figure. There's a zombie cop action figure that I think if you hit a button, he blows up into pieces. But like he's missing the top of his head, and he's holding part of a donut.
Are you sure
And
he's
he's
not
a
holding
cop.
the top of his head?
No, it's a donut. It's very
Okay.
obviously like
Sure
that's,
the top of his head
it's
is not a
cop.
donut?
Ah,
Yeah.
but oh no, I'm those are scary, and I yeah.
Okay. Number 27.
Mario 64. First level.
Oh my god. That would annoy the crap out of me.
No one can see us, but we're all bobbing our heads like dorks.
I'm not.
You're all bombing your heads like dorks. Get it? All right. Another one I'm not a big fan of, so you guys talk about it. I'll shit on it later.
What do you mean later? Like later in this podcast? Or
Later in this segment,
life?
but
Okay.
he prays upon it first, then I ruin what you built.
Are we gonna compliment sandwich it? Where it's like good things, really awful things, good things? Good things. Go.
Compliment sandwich.
Well, it's not Mario Sunshine. That's a compliment.
Mario Sunshine wasn't bad. It was
not
just
on our
different.
list.
I know it's not.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Underappreciated.
It's not very good.
It was good.
Not talk about that game.
Well, Mario 64 had a good feel to it.
Yeah.
I mean, they did a good job actually giving everything. The proportions were good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't all. I feel like the awkward adolescence of gaming was less applicable to that game.
I mean, for being the first game that is that type of game, it does an awful lot right. And even the camera is good. And
Introduce
yeah,
Talking Mario because everybody loves Talking Mario.
he only says like 4 words, though. Like,
He says a word every time he jumps.
Woohoo! Woohoo!
It's awful. It was the worst thing that ever happened to that series.
well, you're already shitting on it.
Wait a
Okay.
minute.
Sorry.
Who said Sunshine?
No, and this was a game that was
Oh.
good for everybody. Like, this is a game that my dad even like really got into because you can play it in any order. You don't have to like
Right.
even Mario
Right.
Sunshine.
Well, no. I'm trying to. Is this the one that's like
You were looking upstairs like the
an
kids are
open
behind us.
world?
Yeah.
Is what?
You were in the castle and you jumped into the paintings and there was
Yeah.
you had to like accomplish goals to get stars. You didn't like finish levels anymore.
And
You
it had a
to,
really
like,
good variety
get
of
all
goals.
5 red
But
coins.
you move around like it's not.
It's a 3D world.
3D
like,
world,
It's a big map that you're, going through.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Mario Sunshine that I.
That was the one
Awesome
with the
music.
There was
flood
one
and
bad Mario game I played, so it was
The
probably
one with
either
the
this
water
one or-
backpack.
Mario Sunshine.
the one about water
Super Mario
sports.
Sunshine.
Yeah, so Mario Sunshine then was very linear. You had to play it pretty much in order. Like Mario 64, once you got like the first couple stars, you could go
Yeah,
really
you could
anywhere.
go where you
do what
wanted.
you wanted. You didn't have to get all the stars to beat the game. You only had to get that minimum. So it pretty much anybody could enjoy it and did. Like it was just we were obsessed with it in my house.
Our
Like, my whole
listeners agree,
family.
though. At number 27, it's far behind other games in the series, which we'll find out. Spoilers!
But far above a lot of games
Yeah.
in the series.
But
Yeah.
it's just really high, though.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
and
what I was gonna
and
say.
honestly, if you
Oh my
handed
God.
this over to a kid, with the exception of I absolutely hate the Trident controller, I think if you hand it over to a kid, the kid's going to be able to figure out how to play it, just like just about any other Mario game. It's
No,
a
we
solid
got 2 kids
representation.
upstairs. I don't have an N64, but we can go test that theory.
It's responsive. You give them joystick, they run around. Oh, holy crap! I can run around, and this button does this, and this button does this. And once you realize everything that you can do, there's such a big world to play in.
And since this was the first of its type, you didn't know really how to do a lot of the goals. You had to learn
Right.
while you were playing, so that was a lot of the fun. Like maybe if you go back to it now after you've played a lot of other 3D platformers, it may seem primitive, but
Well, I mean, it was the one that
Yeah.
really that's the one that defined that control style. I mean, they put those the 4 yellow buttons on there like as camera buttons initially, and it was built around that concept.
yeah, basically
and,
the system was built for that.
yeah, like
game,
if it had.
yeah.
I mean, it really that's what morphed into pretty much every other third person 3D
The only
game. I mean.
bad choice I think for the controls was the swimming. You have to push back to go up out of the water, and to jump out is very awkward.
Yeah.
They fixed that in every game after that. Yeah, Banjo-Kazooie, Rayman, anything like that.
Surprised that they haven't brought this out for the 3DS. 'Cause it would be so much better than the DS version
Brought it out
because it
for
has
the-
an analog
because it
stick.
still sells really well
yeah,
for the DS.
yeah.
True, I guess.
Because
Stupid
you got the
nubbly.
analog
Yeah.
stick with it.
Yeah.
It has good music. There's
Oh
a
yeah,
there's an
and
OC
the music
remix.
changes with the type, with the area that you're in. It changes. It adds things in, takes them apart. That's very a Nintendo Keystone thing that now, but that was maybe the first one that did that. I think.
There's a remix on OC Remix, and I don't know the actual name of it, but it's called Sunken Suite. And it's one of the water levels, and it is the most and I'm going to say the word chill, and then I'm going to feel stupid about calling it chill, but really it is like one of the most chill songs you'll ever listen to.
Mm-hmm.
And Tatton and I were at MagFest, and the One Ups played it. And the guy, Mustin, which is he's like, the guy from the One Ups was like, so what'd you like? And I was like, Sunken Suite. And he was like, the song from Mario 64. And I was like, yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, that's the one where you're in the sunken ship. You said, yeah,
Yes.
that one haunted me. That song. Yeah.
So good.
It's hard for me to be defensive about this game, though. Like I'm not used to people
I'm
saying
allowed to
bad
hate it.
things about it. So
Like I said, the results: 9 votes for this one, several more for ones later.
One of the interesting things I found about that game is the flow of the controls were pretty good. With Super Mario Brothers, you had a specific flow where you would do jumps and you would hit specific spots, and you could teach yourself to do that.
It was precision based,
And-
whereas
yeah.
64 is really loosey goosey, and I'm not a fan of it, but I can see why people like it because that's what
Yeah.
they've kept since then. Even the Wii Mario Brothers
Yeah.
has that loose feel to it.
Yeah.
Floatier.
Where you start running and then you speed
Yeah,
up and
I did.
Yeah, and then they introduced the concept of the multiple jumps
Yeah,
that do
yeah.
that. You jump once and then you do a different jump and you jump a little higher, then you jump again and you do a flip and stuff like that.
Introduced in Donkey Kong for the Game Boy
Boy.
1994.
Handstand too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough. All right, number 26.
Space Invaders. Get my bottle of Shasta and an all Rush mixtape.
Instead of shooting where I was, you should have shot where I was going to be.
I never could get that last one.
I always let my brother Yancey do it.
It's kind of a twofold story here because the arcade version in Japan was the game that caused a quarter shortage.
Quarter shortage. Was it
in
100
Japan.
100 yen
100 yen.
coin?
100 yen coin.
Okay.
But then in America, it wasn't as big, but then the 2600 version made the 2600 a mega hit because that was the first licensed arcade port
It's good,
for the
too.
2600.
Title.
And they're kind of different games because they didn't maintain the same style. And if you listen to Retro Gaming Roundup, they had a big, giant, freaking huge fight about whether or not the Space Invader was a mascot. And
And if he was the first mascot.
and if he was the first mascot, where it was in Japan, but not over here because they didn't market it as a mascot game over here. Like if you play the Space Invaders pinball machine, it looks like Alien the movie.
Yeah.
So
And
it was basically like a Star Wars inspired game over here.
When they
How
didn't
was it
use any of
advertised?
the
Just as space shooting?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
you're shooting shit. Space. I mean, live in Star Wars. I mean, space was huge at that point between Star Wars and the upcoming space shuttle project, and it was.
Oh, the space shuttle.
And the arcade's a bitch. It's kind of like Asteroids we talked about before, where it's not joystick. It's left button, right button, fire, and it hurts your hands to play it because it's those little tiny buttons. It's not even like arcade size buttons. It's the little tiny trigger style ones.
the ones they used to use for like credits in a lot of machines that like would light
Yeah,
up.
yeah. It is, and it's a bear. It's a hard freaking game.
And this game was the inspiration for Alien Invaders Plus, one of our favorite
Yeah.
RPG2 games.
Oh no. Now, I do have to say, if you're a big Space Invaders fan, the Japanese PS2 version of Space Invaders is absolutely amazing, and you actually get a little cocktail cabinet that you put the PlayStation controller in, and you play with like a little joystick and a little button. It's fantastic.
It's adorable.
It's adorable.
Oh, there are so many good Space Invaders
It's
ports.
so cute.
The 2600 version is classic. It has 250 some variations in it. Invisible invaders and moving shields and zigzag bombs and like Space Invaders Extreme for the DS. Holy shit! You get the
That game is incredible.
Is
That
it the
is
one
one
with
of
the dial?
you can use
yeah.
the paddle with it,
Yeah.
and it is so great.
Tatton has a pink paddle.
Still need to pick one of those.
And the Game Boy version that you play on a Super Game Boy, it actually has the arcade version. If you play it on a Super NES.
Wow.
So there are lots of ports out there, and like even the Atari ports for the 5200 and the 8-bit,
Yeah.
and there's several homebrews for the ColecoVision and the 7800, and I love the game. And I think we're going to do a whole Space Invaders episode one of these days when we do our
Just compare every
Killer App
version of it.
series, like all the different clones and ripoffs and ports of Space Invaders. I just, even though it's simple and boring, if you have the right variation, it's really fun.
And apparently,
Simple and mesmerizing, though.
And apparently, for our readers or listeners, for our listeners,
Dear
it's
readers.
better than
Caption
Mario
now?
64. So that should make
Yes,
us
it's
happy.
better than Mario 64. Woohoo!
No, I'm sorry, you did that wrong.
Seal
Woohoo!
of approval.
It's me, a Space Invader guy.
Pew pew pew.
That makes me so proud of our listener base.
Yeah, this
Our
is
readers, yes, because.
Just wait, though, man. I'm stuck kidding.
Yeah, what's next?
Oh no, there's some bad ones
I don't see
coming up.
Space Invaders anywhere near 26 on an IGN list. Just saying. All right, number 25. This to elicit some chuckles.
I love our listeners. I'm not saying bad.
Me too.
We love you.
Macarena the game.
Oh, Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
Finish him. Wait. Did I just commit a faux pas? Was finish him from Mortal Kombat, or was that from a different?
Oh yeah,
fighting
no,
game?
that's
No, you
from
got
Mortal
it.
Kombat.
Okay.
You're correct.
I say I'm actually a bigger fan of the movie than of the games. I love the
I don't
movie.
know what this came. Where
Which movie?
this
The
was.
first Mortal Kombat movie.
Okay,
First one
because
was
there are
pretty
more
good.
than one.
Amazing. Yeah, Annihilation. The movie Christopher Lambert wouldn't even be in.
I
Yeah.
ripped that song from the Sega CD version, and I'm not sure if that's from the movie or if that's specifically mixed for the Sega CD version or if it's for a commercial. But it's fucking awful, awesome. That mid '90s
awesome.
techno.
Yeah.
It's Jock Jams.
It kind of sounds like the music from the live tour.
What's that?
The live tour of Mortal
I
Kombat.
hate the Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. which one of me and
Like
my
they would
friends
go to
went and
go
saw.
to the mall and stuff.
Yay.
or-
No, it was actually a stage show.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
They did
it
that,
was
like with the
yeah.
Teenage
Give it to
Mutant
you
Ninja
to go to
Turtles
the
and
theater version of a video game.
Nice.
I actually went to go see it. I went to Mortal Kombat the
of
live
course
show.
you did.
And not only did I get to go see it, but we went and we stocked the like coach in the back that all of the actors were in, and we got all the signatures. And it turns
Nice.
out that the gal who was Sonya in the
No,
in
it's
the
not
live
Sonya.
show.
Sonya.
Sonya. It was Carrie Hoskins, the same gal who they did the motion capture from.
Oh, cool.
So actually, like,
Wow.
I got her signature on like our thing.
No
Did she head scissors you over her head? Because that would be freaking awesome.
And well, she's also now is she a senator? Did she get elected?
I don't remember. I remember she was
Yeah,
running.
she was
Oh,
going
you're gonna make me look
for,
something up.
but yeah, she was going for some political office.
So no,
What's her name?
Carrie
Carrie
Hoskins.
Hoskins.
I do
That
like
with
the
a
games,
K?
and this was the first, the biggest thing ever, and that was the first game that I would get the Game Pro, write down all the codes in a little notebook, take it to the arcade, and then hardly play it at all. It was just cool to write down the codes. I thought, so, but no, just to watch the game was really fun.
Well,
'cause it
according
was-
to the Wikipedias, she's a former glamour model and video game actress. She currently works as a personal trainer.
Oh, aw. I thought somebody was.
She's a secret character in NBA Showtime, NBA on NBC. She also modeled in Playboy.
Oh.
Thank you, Wikipedia.
And Tatton has her autograph. Add that.
That's
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, make an edit in there.
Was
I
was
wrote-
anybody a
Editing
fan of it in
Wikipedia
the
now.
arcade?
Did
I
she
loved it in
finish
the
you?
arcade.
Yeah.
This was
The first one, second one.
I played the first one and I liked it, but I didn't get really engrossed in it until the second one. I think it was just the
Better storyline.
the roster.
Reptile. Head reptile. No.
The actually
Toasty guy.
they did try to like put more of a story into the second one, and
Story with
Oh, I know.
accusational bunnies.
well,
Tried.
I was
they
like,
had like a comic book, and they had all this mythology they wanted to include
And
with
the
it.
movie, too.
Oh, dude! Speaking of comic book, what's that comic book game?
Comic
Huh?
Zone?
Comic Zone.
The one where you're you go from panel to panel.
Comic
and you're
Zone.
like-
Comic Zone.
Oh man, I missed that game. Anyway, go ahead. Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, so like, I mean, at the time we were like getting on like BBSs. We were on like Columbus Online, like downloading text facts from a terminal emulator to like figure out what the fatalities and stuff were, and like what the character bios were.
And there were
stuff
always
like
guys
that.
in the
And-
arcade that were just like the bomb at it, like always there, like
Oh,
challenging
yeah.
everybody.
I didn't
Just
really
playing
get
for
to
free,
play it.
basically.
I didn't really get to play it much at the arcade because I never, you'd fight one guy and then you'd get kicked off because
Yeah, for
you weren't
10
that
more
good at it at the
Yeah.
time. So so when they were coming out with the Genesis version, me and my brothers made sure we saved up and we got it.
It's kind of
And you
seen
made
as
the
a,
right choice.
it's kind of seen as a joke now, but Mortal Kombat was bigger than Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Street Fighter started the craze, but Mortal Kombat got bigger than Street Fighter.
And they had like a whole big special edition box when it came out.
I mean, Mortal
with the
Kombat-
Genesis and
It's a bad word to say, I guess, but it pandered. It was just like, yeah, you want violence? Here's your fucking
Yeah.
violence.
Gratuitous.
Pull the heart out
and
of
that
a
was
person, yeah.
and that was the.
But it was still cartoonish.
Yeah, it
Well,
was.
it was
Yeah,
over
even
the
the
top,
motion
but they
capture
did
was
motion
cartoonish.
capture, so
Right.
they were real people.
And
then you had the-
I was not a fan.
the
I'm
blood
sorry.
code
It
on the
was too
Genesis
much
in order to
for me.
actually get the
ABACABB.
full violence. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And in case you're keeping score, which I know nobody is, Mortal Kombat 1 for the arcade got 5 votes. Mortal Kombat 2 for the Genesis got 2 votes. Mortal Kombat 2 for the arcade got 2 votes. So we did some majorly combining with this one.
Yeah, and I think I was
And
outvoted
10 was
on this
pissed,
one
but
because I wanted to split them up.
but 2 wouldn't have made it, and 1 would have been barely cracked the top 90 that way. It's extremely important too because that was one of the games that fueled the fire between the Super Genesis rivalry with
And the Nintendo.
the Nintendo.
Would you say maybe Mortal Kombat 2 for the Super Nintendo would be because it actually has the blood and it has the good controller, but you could get a 6-button controller for Genesis.
Yeah, the
too.
controls on the Super NES versions weren't that great. It was laggy.
Yeah, no, they
Oh.
Claim did better work with the Sega Genesis in general.
But didn't you have to press start for a move or like to? It
with
was
the
Street
3-button,
Fighter.
but nobody.
Yeah.
6-button got common enough. That was
Nobody I played it with 6-button.
yeah. Well, I did because I'm superior apparently.
Yeah, I know for Eternal Champions for the Genesis, like if you just had a 3-button controller, you had to press, I think it was start in order to switch to punch from
change
between
the
punch
mode.
Same
and
with
kick.
Street Fighter 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it was awkward. The 3-button controller in Genesis really killed it in the like whole fighting game phase.
Yeah.
But the 6-button controller is one of the best things ever released. So vastly
Saturn.
superior to the SNES stock pad.
Yeah, Saturn version's better.
Yeah, but not by much.
Based on the Genesis.
I'm sorry. I'm going to go with the Saturn 3D pad. Next game, please.
Really?
Yeah, I love
Don't
that.
talk about your feminine products. Oh wait, not
I love the Saturn 3D pad.
The 3D.
With wings?
but
It's like the
know.
Venus. Yeah.
I do like how in the 6-button
Shaper,
controller with
yeah.
the Genesis though they shrunk it down quite a bit.
Yes.
That was
yeah.
very, very, very nice.
The D-pad is butter on toast.
Yeah.
Is that butter on toasty? As if you keep it relative to Mortal
Tea on
Kombat.
toast.
Ew.
This, and I will say
like
too,
in your saucer.
Mortal
I don't know.
Kombat 2 is another one of those games, kind of like when I was talking about the excitement about Marvel Capcom 2 about not knowing what you're unlocking. There wasn't an internet really that was mainstream accessible at the time. I mean, like I said, we were getting our stuff from BBSs, and most people weren't doing that. So it was either what showed up in magazines
Right.
or just what
Word
you
of
happened
mouth.
to see when somebody was there. And so there was, the word of mouth was awesome. And then trying to figure out what's actually in there, what's just stories that people were telling, whatever else. I mean, it was really like,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's-
the first time we saw like a friendship, we're like, what on earth is this? Like, how did
Yeah.
this happen? Why is
That-
this a
that
thing?
game-
and the
Friendship
little
and
the Pong
babality.
secret and just
Trying to figure
Mortal
out what
Kombat
Noob
2 was
Saibot?
freaking
Noob Saibot. Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
fantastic. Well, underrated still, even at 25. I still think it's. I mean, it's very important. I mean, it's kind of a joke now because of all the shitty games since those first two.
The
But
most
one
recent
and,
one they
but one
did.
and two.
Sub-Zero, the game.
It's trying to,
Mortal Kombat and Special Forces for the PlayStation.
Oh God.
Rubbish. It's just rubbish.
All right, number 24.
Goldeneye.
Indiana Jones?
Dr. No.
Wait.
The game.
Indiana Jones: A New Hope.
It's pretty good music. It's a good remix, especially N64 music.
Generations? What?
You were a dick if you played as Odd Job.
Yes. Yes.
Dude, you can play as Odd Job?
And all you do is slap the hell out of people.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Can I throw my
Because
hat at
nobody
people?
Nobody can aim at you.
No, but you can't. But nobody can aim at you.
Because you're short.
You're short.
And-
You're shorter than everybody else.
And it's
with
not
those-
like a normal, like a today first-person shooter because you actually have to stop where you are, press R, and like look down and shoot, and you can't move right while you're looking, something like that. Yeah. Oh man, good one-player game, good multiplayer game.
Good movie tie-in.
Good movie.
Yeah.
Better than the movie.
And that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like
Way
every
better than the
movie, well, it's LJN stopped making movie games, so we no longer received all of the crap that was out there.
Yeah, give Rare a movie license. Yeah. And it's got just the first level I could just play constantly. I would just try to perfect the first level because you could do it a couple different ways. It's one of those games where they put a lot of time in the first level and then a lot of the other levels not as much, but I think.
It was like they had to do a proof of concept to get the game going. Then once they did, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
we can't do all this for the money we get.
Deadline.
Yep.
But
Get it done. Get it
does
out.
hold it together throughout.
And they've never topped it. Perfect Dark tried, it didn't. The remakes on the
Yeah.
Wii didn't.
Perfect Dark was
The
really limited
thing-
by the system.
Well, plus it just didn't have a bunch of well-known characters, and you could be the chick.
Level design was shit in Perfect Dark too for the one-player game.
And I think a lot of the original GoldenEye team like split off and did the Time Splitter
Splitters.
series, and those didn't. I mean, some people liked them. I mean, I think the sales. I think they paid for themselves. I don't think they lost money on them, but they weren't popular.
If they had the Bond license, because they do play, you can feel the Bond like GoldenEye feel in them. What am I saying? Yeah, when you play.
Have any of you guys played like the remake they did?
No.
The
Was
Wii
that-
version.
Yeah, the Wii version, or
Yeah.
It definitely does not translate well. I don't know whether it just doesn't translate well or it's so so used to other first person shooters now. It feels very limited. I even played like the original GoldenEye again, and it doesn't translate.
But
the
you
way
I
got a
remember we
nifty
played it
gold
at my
controller.
house,
Yeah.
and it was just kind of boring.
Yeah.
It just went on
We
and
bought
on.
that
It just doesn't-
used. We're
yeah.
good.
Yeah. Well, I did get a golden the Pro controller out of it. Though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's what I said. You got
yeah.
the nifty
Yeah.
controller,
Yeah.
and it matches his fancy gold Zelda controller too.
I will say my favorite thing about this game. Well, two things. One, having an N64 back in the day. I mean, I wasn't a real big fan. I didn't like the graphics of the N64 even back then compared to like the Genesis, especially not like compared to the Dreamcast. But we played this game just all the time. I mean, this was one of the
This
first
and
ones
Mario
that was
Kart,
just
right?
yeah. Well, not Mario Kart. Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Mario Party, and like the Aki Engine wrestling games. Like those were what we killed all of our analog sticks on the N64. I mean, that's what all of our time was put into. But I gotta say, proximity mines are the best thing ever. We would play so many games with only proximity mines. We'd play, and I think it was the facility. And I used to like to go into the one room where they had like all of the I-beams and like scatter them like in between the I-beams, and like someone would like run around the corner and they'd see you and you'd kind of like tip right out the side of the room. They'd go running in, all the proximity mines would go off. Like that was probably one of the most fun things I've ever played with in a first-person shooter.
And the split screen didn't feel limited when you were playing it, especially at 4-player.
Yeah,
it was it wasn't very detailed, so you didn't really feel like you were missing much when you had a very, very small screen there.
Yeah.
You could still see everything you needed to see. The controls were still responsive. There wasn't much lag, which was also really nice, which was one of the problems with Perfect Dark. If you start playing multiplayer on that, you start
And that
seeing
even
some
used
lag.
like that RAM pack too,
Yeah.
and it still didn't run. I think that game would crash too. Perfect. Okay. Pardon?
Yeah, Perfect Dark was just kind of. I mean, it was buggy.
Yeah.
And they tried to like bring. They didn't bring proximity mines into it, but they had the like
The suitcase.
suitcases
suitcase,
with
yeah.
the machine guns in it, and that was no fun.
It's just magical.
And
it was
Rare did this, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And they're a British company, and 007 is pretty much the coolest thing to come out of Britain, right?
no, probably Doctor Who.
Doctor Who isn't cool.
Doctor Who is popular.
Doctor
It's
Who is
the
popular.
biggest
not
the
fucking
microphone.
cool.
the biggest mainstream
Blackadder is the coolest thing to come out.
come out.
Oh, yeah.
The young ones are the coolest thing, or Motorhead.
Yes.
But that's
Yeah.
but
Or Motorhead on
although
the young ones.
if Lemmy were a character in GoldenEye,
I remember when I first heard about this game, I was like, "Oh, great! It's gonna be a shitty
Movie tie-in.
movie tie-in game."
Yep.
And then when it came out, you just couldn't quite believe you're playing it. You're like, "Okay, when's the other shoe gonna drop? This is not gonna be good." And it just maintained its quality for years. So,
and I
something
mean,
to be
I
said
don't.
about that.
Do people still play this one though?
Yes.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who do, but it's.
Yes.
I mean, I know
the
like
same
a
thing,
lot of the retro kids that are in college now that grew up with this will go back and buy GoldenEye and 4 controllers at an N64, but I don't hear of a lot of.
And play for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I don't. But I'm out of the loop, maybe, but I just don't see like a lot of retro tournaments.
I would
that
be
feature
more
GoldenEye.
likely to play the one-player game at this point.
Brad really had
beginning.
hit the nail on the head. Most of the gamers who really got into GoldenEye and are like revisiting GoldenEye moved into other first-person shooters, and
Halo.
they can't have like a shooter that doesn't use dual analog sticks. Like they say that's what kills it.
It feels a lot slower than a lot of the other first-person shooters now, and it
It
just
has
doesn't
not
it make
very-
it more
strafing
accessible?
though, right? You hold the L button. No. Does that strafing?
I think it's straight with the yellow
Yeah.
Yellow
camera
L
buttons,
Yeah.
isn't it?
or the okay.
It was a
button.
weird
Yellow
thing.
arrow button, C button. Yeah, should have labeled those buttons better. The C arrow to the left button.
Okay, is that it? Next. 23.
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man.
Which one?
All
The
of
first
them.
one. We voted to
Wait.
not.
Please not make them all of them. There's a bunch of really bad ones.
Okay, hold on.
We voted to not combine Miss Pac-Man with Pac-Man, and therefore Pac-Man did not get into the top 20. That makes me sad. But that's democracy. You win some, you lose some.
Democracy blows.
When you lose. Those were my list. No, it's all right.
I think Pac-Man was one of my ones that I would have put at number 1 if we were numbering.
Right.
As evidenced by my kitchen. For any of you who have walked
hell
into my
was-
Pac-Man backsplash kitchen with matching aprons and oven mitts, and I'm pretty big onto the Pac-Man.
Nothing wrong with that. We may have a Pac-Man sheet that is being used as a curtain now.
Nice. I looked for one of those on eBay for my curtains, but I just went with solid blue.
There's no denying, just from this talk, that the character of Pac-Man in the 1980s... We need to pause it?
No, we're fine.
Okay. The character of Pac-Man in the 1980s was critical in making this what it was. Yeah, there's a dog barking.
That would be Macintosh.
I miss Pac-Man pasta and Pac-Man cereal.
And
Pac-Man cereal was awesome.
Pac-Man SpaghettiOs.
And the
Yeah, I know
stupid
those were so
cartoon.
with little
tasty.
dots,
And
yeah.
you can't get them the same consistency now. Like all the current
It's
pasta,
like grainy.
it's not
grainy.
the same.
It's
It's
not
not the
this
same because
slimy.
it was like thicker
Yeah.
back then.
Darn
and-
kids who are allergic to gluten.
I know wheat gluten is so tasty. Well, in the cereal, do you remember when
I
the
remember
cereal?
the Pac-Man cereal.
Well, Pac-Man may not be the first mascot, but he's the best. He's the best mascot.
He definitely is like so iconic.
He was the first in the United States. That settles that freaking argument over an RGR.
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, definitely Pac-Man was one that everybody knew.
Yeah, if you went to a Pizza Hut, there was always the Pac-Man table while you were waiting for
Yep.
your food.
Like the cocktail
yeah.
cabinet.
Yeah,
Yep,
I love
yep.
those things.
And so we did not combine Miss Pac-Man and Pac-Man. Did Miss Pac-Man get any votes?
She got like 2 or 3.
Oh.
Miss Pac-Man's the better game by far.
Yeah, speed on that because that
Yeah.
was
Well, yeah, the speed. If you have a speed chip, that makes it it makes it a different game, but also a better game in my book.
Well, and that is how we merged the Pac-Mans together. Because was there more than one host vote? Was I the only host vote for this?
There was only one host vote,
Yeah, because it was on my list. I actually put Pac-Man with the speed up chip in it.
but I wasn't counted any separately because it's not a different game.
It's a different game. It plays.
It
completely
plays
different.
differently, and I agree with you, but we didn't need to separate Pac-Man even more and push it down the list because of your stupid technology.
No. But I mean that's
Pac-Man Adventures. How many votes did that get?
Nothing.
And there was the Pac-Man.
No Pac-Mania, no Pac-in-Time, no Pac-in-Pals, no Baby Pac-Man.
Pac-Man Jr.
No Pac-Man Jr.
Pac-Pics.
I spent
No Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness.
Pack and Play? Wait, no.
What's the one that's like a
That's not-
side scroller?
Pac-Land.
Pac-Man 2, The New Adventures.
Pac-Land,
Pac-
yeah. I spent so much of my childhood playing the original Pac-Man. I don't know how they got it, but our daycare center had a Pac-Man and a Donkey Kong Jr. machine, and they put them on free play. Yeah, I don't know where they came from, but they had them both. And
Dublin.
Yeah,
oh wait, no,
it-
this was daycare. This was pre-Columbus, wasn't it? Or was it?
No, it was. It was Dublin.
It was Dublin. Okay.
I think.
Rich people.
I
What
don't
kind of
remember.
sorcery is that?
It's like
All
those
I'm
kids
saying
with DDR machines at their gym class.
That's awesome. But I spent, just every single day that I was there, like I just played, as many games as they'd let me play.
How many keys?
And was it 11? I could get to the 11th key. Was about as far as I could get into it.
Damn.
Which is not. It's not far considering.
It is for a freaking 4-year-old.
It's just such a good
Well,
combination.
I
of
was
That's
probably
higher than the
character
dude at
and
the
game.
Pac-Man song got. He only got to the 9th key.
Yeah,
was
Buckner
like-
and Garcia can only get to the 9th key.
I was like 7. Wasn't
Man.
that young. Wasn't like a Pac-Man prodigy or anything, but it was just awesome. That was one of those games that was.
I don't think I could clear the first board when I was 7. What do you-
And it was so copied too. There's so many clones of it.
Oh, God, yeah.
Hashtag
Yeah.
humble
cheap
brag.
computer
Good
shareware.
clones, too.
I did not play Pac-Man overly much, but I played Miss Pac-Man because I had it for my 8-bit Atari 800 XE, and it was Pac-Man Blue Max, which the English guy on the one that did a thing for us.
UK Mike.
Yes, UK Mike, I love you for Blue Maxing. I think you Blue Maxed.
Yes.
Did he?
Yeah,
Okay.
he put
But-
Blue
but
Max on
that's-
his.
That sounds
I
dirty.
blew max myself.
No, but
In Britain, it means something else completely.
oh dear. Okay. Oh,
Go
hooray.
smoke a fag.
Might you have a rubber?
And we lost our British listener.
Kiss my face.
Shut up and eat your biscuits.
It was I was bedridden for 6
that's
weeks
bad.
after my appendix ruptured, and it was me, the Atari 800 XE, Blue Max, Miss Pac-Man, and Basic. that's all that I had. So I got to learn how to program on BASIC, and when I got bored with that, I played Blue Max, and when I got bored with that, I played the hell out of Miss Pac-Man. And it's nice because you kind of can just lose yourself in the game. It's that nice arcade, just munch pellets and kill ghosts, and then avoid ghosts.
I'm going to have an unpopular opinion among listeners. I don't know about this room, but I like the 2600 version of Pac-Man.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too.
It gets shit on a lot. And I love the fact that 30 years after it was released, they were still using it in commercials. There was a Circuit City commercial about 10 years ago that this guy was playing video games in the store, and they were playing Pac-Man 2600 sound effects.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
and Todd Fry, you hear the story that, like little things that, Pac-Man on 2600 was 2 players, and because it used up so much memory to save your progress from 1 player to 2 players, then back again, that used up a lot of memory, whereas the improved versions of Pac-Man that they've done on 2600 are only 1 player.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, there's just little things like that I don't think it's that bad. I mean,
It gets a lot worse rap than it really deserves. I mean,
Yeah.
the problem is that people expected it to be arcade Pac-Man, and it wasn't arcade Pac-Man. I mean, it was its own game, but at the same
neither
time,
was Space Invaders.
Neither was Space Invaders, right? I mean, all of those games were.
But
I mean,
Space
they were
Invaders
getting to the
wasn't-
Atari.
They were
popular before, because Space Invaders came out earlier on the.
It probably didn't
Atari.
have the same following that Pac-Man did. I mean, I think that's a very accurate statement.
But, the choice of colors, that was one of those Atari things where they had everything look colorful to prove that they could do color. I mean, it was just that design aesthetic in the early 80s, and they changed
once you
that.
had color televisions, because you were able to switch between color and black and
Right,
white. Once
and-
you had a color television, you had to prove that
like
you could
even
do
the
color.
Odyssey 2, when we did that episode with the teal backgrounds and they were just, companies were into showing off color and
Gaudy.
showing off your color TV, and look at the fashion of the day. I mean, that was...
I mean, that's pretty much the way it is now. Is look at HD.
Everything's
look at all
all
this
brown.
1080p you can have.
Everything's brown and green.
Look at this
gritty.
beautiful bloom.
Ugh.
I hate
Okay,
Look
so
at every single hair coming out of every single pore on
Yeah,
every single face.
Ugh.
This blue is slightly less blue than this.
HD TV is the worst thing that ever happened to local news broadcasts.
yeah, I will completely agree.
Very rubbish.
Oh, gosh.
Just insert your old local newscaster guy who should not be on HGTV. There you go.
So you want to one thing that will probably haunt me forever for Pac-Man. Look at the Atari 8-bit Pac-Man cover. It's the
with the jogging Pac-Man.
yeah, he's jogging and he's wearing like gym socks that are up to his knees, and he
so
has an
bad.
Adam's apple for some reason. Like he's all lanky and it's like big.
I
Oh,
can
we were
never
just
really
watching a
get into
video
the
of that.
cartoons or the picture books
the
or anything because
cartoon was
it just
weird.
seems so creepy to me that Pac-Man had
A pack
legs
dog?
and a nose.
Well, and he had
Didn't he
a
wear
phallic
a
nose.
tie,
They had to change
too?
that
Like-
because it was a penis for the longest.
It just
Whoa.
no. He's a circle with the portion of chart which does not resemble Pac-Man.
Well, I mean that's true because Qbert actually had more of a. Qbert had his.
Had a shape.
He had that like
Right.
horn on his nose. I always thought that's where he talked out of was the horn in
Yeah.
his nose.
The Kubert came like 2-3 years later. I mean,
Well, I mean, but he had his
back
own
then,
cartoon
technology
series
was
too.
moving at light speed forward. And
I did like in Miss Pac-Man when they do the axe, where they do the axe, and you get to see like
Yeah.
Pac-Man meet Miss
Yeah,
Pac-Man.
yeah. But Qbert was in the game. He had legs and a big nose.
Right.
It
Pac-Man
was-
was
Pac-Man
nothing.
was
He
a circle with a pie
It's because
piece
he
cut
got too
out of it.
popular,
But
and they
Miss
had to make a
Pac-Man was-
cartoon of him, so they
yeah.
had to
Right.
add these
And
things.
Miss
to
Pac-Man
make-
Rubik's
had a
Cube.
bow on her head.
Yeah,
Rubik's Cube.
and a mole.
And eyelashes, I think. Miss
But
Pac-Man had a couple
but I'm just
eyelashes.
saying. And then in the cartoon, all of a sudden, he had like a big old eye and a
Rubik's
nose,
Cube could
and
talk.
fucking legs.
The 80s were weird.
All right. One of my favorites. I wish it could have been a little higher, but I still like my list overall. Number 22. Turn up the mute volume.
Dr. Mario.
Yeah.
Dr. Mario.
All right. So first off, quick poll. Fever or chill?
Chill.
Fever.
I think
Wait.
I liked Chill.
Which song
But-
that was?
but-
That was chill.
But that was
Which one do you prefer?
Oh wait, that was
Oh,
Fever.
that was
yeah,
Fever.
That was
That was
Fever. This
Fever.
is Chill. I like
I don't
Chill
even know.
because it's
I
Brental
always
Floss
liked
did
Fever
the Fever, and it's hilarious.
I think I just always played Fever because that was the default, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
kinda
maybe,
mellow.
I think it's maybe a
Well,
little
no.
funky
Okay,
song.
This is
Quick
this
poll.
Is, yeah.
Quick poll. How many people's moms were obsessed with Dr. Mario?
Mine.
My
Mine.
friends' parents would play.
Really.
Yeah, it was the Nintendo game that parents loved.
Tetris and Dr. Mario.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay,
My,
my
ex's
parents
mom
are weird.
loved
They like
Tetris, and my mom loved Dr. Mario.
my parents were into Duck Hunt. I don't know what that say about me.
My dad could get to the negative worlds in Super Mario Brothers.
No, my mom would play Dr. Mario for hours. Hours.
I didn't play this until I was an adult collector.
You're
Yeah,
color-
like-
you're
I never-
colorblind, sir.
Yeah,
Well,
but you
but
could
I
play it
can-
on the Game Boy.
It was actually,
It was grayscale.
Yeah, grayscale.
but they picked the appropriate colors for that. It was
really?
yellow,
Red,
blue,
blue, and
and red. And
Yeah,
those were
red
they all
green
had
is-
like a strong contrast. Yeah, if it was blue, purple, red, green, yellow, orange, red, orange, any of those, like
If it was
like
Puzzle Fighter
Bobble,
2?
like Puzzle Bobble without the icons would be awful. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't play it. But this one, I mean, I actually can play.
Like for me, I thought it was okay. I wasn't too into puzzle games as a kid, more into Mario and stuff. But as an adult, I had a neighbor. We had epic wars of this game 10 years ago.
You're fucking good too, dude.
Yeah, thank you. He's very good too. For hours at a time, and we kept track of every single round we beat. We won. So
You're speaking to the 2003 Cincy Classic Dr. Mario champion. I'll have you know.
wow.
I won a Generation Next Nintendo from that, and I broke it.
And you
I think it got broken at our
Wait, what
wedding.
does that mean? A generation next?
you broke the
that
Console.
Famicom clone that had like the first sort of official, because they were selling Famiclones at the time. Like this company NEX came out and they
Was it the
used,
one that played both?
it played Famicom and NES
SNES?
games, and it looked like an NES, and you could use actual controllers, and we broke it.
I finally got it into a podcast.
SNES.
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 Terrible.
We call it that. Some
No.
other people call that
SNES.
legitimately.
And I think
I
ironically,
call it that legitimately
Of course you do.
because it's one syllable. SNES. SNES. That's four syllables.
All right, we're not talking about fucking SNES.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but ironically, didn't the Generation Next not play the Dr. Mario because the lockout chip or something?
No, that's
I
my,
thought it.
that's
did-
my current NES that I snipped the lockout chip on.
Oh,
My Dr. Mario's not working on that NES. I've got another unit that can still play the game.
I thought that one like flaked out when you
I thought that was
went
the
and popped
game
it in.
that was bad.
No,
You figured it out.
yeah, it's the lockout chip because I bought another copy of it, and then Dr. Mario had the
Same
same
thing.
problem. So if you clip your lockout chip, be careful. Dr. Mario might not work.
It's fun, and I always felt bad about killing little
The
viruses.
cutest
'cause they're
viruses
cute.
ever.
I know. I've got like perler beads of them, and they're cute.
I wanted stuffed versions.
I know.
I mean,
'cause
you
they're
can get
cute.
the stuffed whatever
Japan can make
things
AIDS
on.
cute.
Well, think
No, wait, you're able to kill them with drugs. No, they're not AIDS.
That you can get the stuffed microbes
Yeah.
as Christmas ornaments too. At
Yeah.
Christmas time, but
Didn't feel bad about that at all. I just killed them.
Well, I would.
I mean,
play
there were always some alive on the side of the screen in a microscope.
You
They
hit
always
start, they
came
come back in the next
Well, they'll be
level.
bred and cultured for your next level.
You
So
can't
I
beat
never
the
felt too
game.
bad about
There
it.
were so many, and there have been so many games that came out after Tetris that were Tetris-style games, and none of them have ever come close to Dr. Mario. I mean, Tetris is better,
Right.
but none of them
Right.
ever even come close to Dr. Mario.
Dr. Mario had
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
different aspect to it. The color matching that you didn't
Mhm.
really have to do in Tetris, and
Better 2-player version.
yeah, the
Yeah.
Yeah.
the battle
Existing.
version.
Existing two-player version. Yeah.
But I mean, and the concept is similar, but I wouldn't say it's the same.
Do you remember the commercials? There were 2 commercials that they did for it, and there was one like the whitest rapping kid ever, and he's like, Dr. Mario. Oh, like I need to look it up, and we need to put it on there. And then they did. I saw the Witch Doctor
For the Game Boy version.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yes, yes, yes.
I remember that one.
And
Yeah.
then he struck my head. Yeah. No, I need to find those because those are great
Well,
commercials.
Dr. Mario. Yeah.
Yes.
He'll tell you what to do.
Another
Yeah.
game I first played at Power Fest 1990.
Nice.
Wow.
It's fun, and it's one of those you can just
It
get
is.
into
So yeah,
and
it is better 2-player, and Tetris is better 1-player. So they're kind of inverted. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I will say that I prefer Puyo Puyo over Dr. Mario because there's better chains and a little more strategy to it. but it's virtually the same game. They just made a variation and made a better version of Dr. Mario.
That was the nice thing about Dr. Mario was that they added like the element of having to get rid of the viruses, and having the viruses scattered like throughout the dropping playfield really changed the aspect. It wasn't just a Tetris clone at that point. I mean, that was really was a big gameplay element.
I don't like the scoring system in Dr. Mario.
Oh.
It's more about clearing out the stages rather than getting a high score because you could clear out like a 75 chain or something, but you only get credit for the viruses you destroyed in that chain. So it's one of those.
It's not,
but
it's not
you
a
can score just 2
multiplier.
player.
Is that
You
what you're
score,
saying?
like,
There is a multiplier for the viruses, but if you got rid of 4 pills without a virus, it doesn't count for anything.
Shit, I want to put that in and play that tonight.
But that's a small nitpick.
But there is nothing better than having like one slot between 3 viruses, and you like squeeze and you edge your piece around, and you do it diagonally that way, and then diagonally that way, and then the last minute you flip.
Yeah,
I
and
love
then
to clear those viruses that are like halfway down the
the
side of the
magic
bottle.
flip the pill at the
And you're
last
just
second.
like, wow, I am awesome. Yeah, there's
And the dumping
very
garbage is
satisfying.
fall
great
down
in
and you see
2-player,
the-
not only because you dump garbage on their side, but it
Slows
takes so
them.
long for the garbage to drop on the other side that you
can
get a
create more
good
garbage.
15-second advantage.
And you can watch it fall in terror.
I don't know that I've ever played 2-player Doctor. No, I
Oh my
have.
God.
I have.
Played it
On the Game
we
Boy.
did it at Hexadecathlon
Did we?
too.
But we played Tetris and Dr. Mario, and
So you
might
made
not
Oh
have
yeah,
tried Dr.
no, I
Mario.
did. I think we did Tetris and. I did.
All right.
That game should come back.
Number
Actually, they brought it
For
out
my
for the
sake.
Wii.
Yes.
It's on the
Dr.
Wii?
Mario DX.
Yeah.
It is
Download.
really good, and it did
Oh, and
not.
speaking of, we did get 1 vote for the DS version, 8 votes for the NES version.
Wait, there was a DS version?
Download.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yes,
wow, awesome.
And then don't forget Dr. Wario. I probably already mentioned that before.
Yeah,
In the original WarioWare, you can get Dr. Wario. It's the same exact game, except with Wario as a doctor.
That's awesome.
Aw.
I didn't know that.
You should be helping the viruses in that one.
Yeah, dropping virus on the
You
pills.
should be dropping
Remove the
viruses
pills.
Dropping
on the
virus
pills.
on the pills. Get
good.
virus immunity. Mario isn't that evil. He's just greedy. All right, number 21.
Mega Man 2. The Megas are awesome. They do a cover album of every single track in this, and they give lyrics to all of the men, and it's fantastic because you get like a feel for Bubble Man thinks that everybody thinks that he's useless, so he has to prove himself. And Flash Man is lonely, and he wants Mega Man to join him. I read into it a lot more than I should, but I mean, seriously, like, it's wonderful. It's a lot of fun if you like the music, which the Mega Man, they did such a good job with those
This was
music.
this was
And that
bar none.
established it. Like, that was Mega Man. The
This
first
was
one.
the pinnacle of NES games when it came out. It was the best
Shit,
looking,
yes.
the best sounding. It was. I mean, because 1 wasn't even that popular of a game.
Well, they got rid of the scoring system, which was good because your purpose was to defeat Dr. Wily.
Right.
It wasn't to rack up a score. The difficulty level, I think 1
Well,
is
it had 2 versions, 2 difficulties.
right, and you could go ahead and choose which one you wanted, and I think 1 was just a little harder out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
So having the ability to go ahead and say I want to do this on easy, and I remember the first time I watched the game beaten, you see Mega Man walking through like Japan, and you see all the the rains come down and the leaves go down, and then like the sakura petals and all of that. And I remember I was like 7 or 8 years old, and I cried because it was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen at the time. Because
So what's the deal with the difficulty? Is normal like Japanese what?
I think,
American
No
and
offense,
Japanese,
yeah, like
yes.
they-
I think the big difference is if you have like rapid fire,
Mhm.
you could damage enemies multiple times without getting them to flash like Mega Man flashes. You didn't have
Yeah.
that. If you did difficult mode, they would like the dragon on the first Wily stage.
Yeah.
If you play a normal version and you have a NES advantage, you can beat him in 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You could just fire your gun and rapid fire at his face, and he goes away instantly. His meter goes all the way down. Whereas in a difficult version, I think he you hit him once and he flashes.
Oh,
Then
okay.
you hit him again, he
Okay.
flashes. It takes longer.
I guess I've only ever played normal on there.
Right.
too.
Most
I
people
just
don't
choose
go
it.
for difficult.
Yeah.
Most people don't play with
It's already
advantage.
a hard game.
Well,
Yeah.
so they did such a good job actually giving feel to each of the stages.
Mhm.
They weren't stupid men, so it wasn't like, oh, it's Ring Man.
They weren't out of ideas yet.
Yeah, exactly.
And
exactly.
the weapons are integrated into
Oh my
the way
God.
you play the game. Later games,
the
they
metal,
don't care. Yeah.
the metal shot that
Yeah.
you could shoot at any angle, anywhere in the
And
entire
I love that
level.
you use that on Woodman. Like you
Yes.
cut Woodman with the
Yes.
circular saw, basically.
And
That's so
you have to
cool.
use bubble lead, which is ridiculous, but you have to use bubble lead to beat the final boss.
Right.
And if you go into the final boss's battle and you fail and you use up all your bubble lead, you're boned and you can't beat the game. Yeah, I've done that once, and I don't ever want to do that
But you
again.
can continue again.
And
Well, yeah, but you have you have to die. But if you screw up your first man, you have to die, and
Right,
you don't
but
even have a
you
chance.
start like at that fourth or fifth
And
area. It's not like you have to go all the way back to the beginning of Wily.
The characters are also fun. They all have their robot eyes, and
Yeah.
they're all just like happy to be killed by you.
And all the-
No
the
Brad
enemies-
Tories on this one. Neither of you guys played it.
I played some of the Mega Man games. I've never really got into them that much.
You guys are a little younger too.
I was a sheltered child.
I just say
they're
Tori isn't even 30 yet.
Yeah.
oh, I remember those days.
If you get the chance, they're wonderful games to play. There's a difficulty level on them, but they're a lot of fun. And like 2 and 3, the music in them is fantastic.
Well, you got rid of your regular Wii, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that could still play GameCube games, but oh well, whatever's.
We have a
what-
GameCube though.
Yeah, but
Oh,
that,
you still have a GameCube?
that Mega Man
Yeah.
collection
You got
is...
a Mega Man collection.
Yeah.
No. The controls are reversed. It's
If they
impossible
But
to
if
recall-
they've
play.
never
yeah.
played it, they won't
But
know the
yeah,
difference.
that's true. If they've never played it before, they can try
Brad's
it that way.
played
But
it.
you
I
played like
haven't.
okay.
I mean, I played through them. I just never really got into them too much. I was never into that style of platforming.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, it was nice not having the like Ninja Gaiden where you had, he was supposed to look like a real ninja, and look, the birds look like real birds, and then like Mega Man, like you're cute and you've got cute eyes, and then you shoot the cute bats, and the cute bats drop little heads of you, and they're cute, and you pick it up and you get an extra life. Like, and the Me Tools, oh my god, I want a Me Tool so bad.
Okay.
Like I have
It was like the Rush thing.
the little hard hats.
Oh yeah.
So Fizzman Industries does like sculptures. He did your Pac-Man tutor. So I have a Me Tool he did, and it's wonderful.
So, what's your favorite music for guys who played it?
Oh man.
Flashman and Wily.
As Flashman, I can't think of it though right now. Oh, the first level of Wily is my favorite.
Yeah, I love the first level. Wily. That one's
Wily
really
is
good.
so wonderful, and oh my god, when the dragon shows up for the first time, and then the Nintendo actually like roars. Oh, so cool.
First time I heard of this game, as in an early Nintendo Power, they were talking about the CES report, and they just had one little screenshot of the dragon. It looked like a real fucking cartoon, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
look at what my Nintendo can do. This
Yes.
is so awesome.
Yes,
That
yes,
looks
yes.
like real cartoon.
And just, I mean, that intro that you had where it like
Yeah.
started out like it started telling the story and then like shoots up the side of the
Yes.
building and Mega Man standing on top and his hair is blowing
Figure
your
it
head
out.
up, whatever. That was epic. I mean, that was really epic on the Nintendo.
So I played the Game Boy ones, 1, 2, and 3 probably before I played a
Holy
Nintendo
shit.
Mega Man game. Yeah, I was like,
Really?
why is he so small? Yeah, but no, I realized that they are. I mean, I love the Game Boy ones still,
Vastly
but I realized
superior.
that the NES ones are a little bit better. Dog eat pizza?
He was looking.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
driving,
Yeah. And seriously, the Megas do a wonderful cover of it. They do lyrics, and the lyrics are so cool. 'Cause derp. No,
this
this is so good.
this is probably one of those games that if we did our list of like, pick the number one like best Nintendo game, like one that would like define the Nintendo,
Yeah,
this
sure.
would probably be my pick. I mean, I think this is probably. I mean,
It was
yeah.
just superlative, and like on Nintendo, it was just everything.
And they had it by
So there
it's
was
by
Mega Man.
Capcom.
This is
There was
I-
Mega Man 1 through 8, and then when they made Mega Man 9, they made it a sequel to 2. They copied 2.
Yeah, which
Pretty
is weird.
much.
You
Yeah.
didn't even get the slide in that.
Nope, you didn't need
I
it.
hate the slide. Yeah.
Aw.
I didn't like the slide either.
No.
They stole it from Strider. Strider should have just kept the slide in for himself.
I mean, because the slide, there's no point to it. I mean, it's just the slide is because they made the levels.
They just
shrunk.
They wanted
so you had
to,
the slide.
they wanted to add something else into it.
Because I don't think the slide really added much for the battles. Maybe the boss.
You
some
could
of
be a
the
little
bosses
faster.
did.
That's about all it did. But whatever.
Was the Nintendo the first one that added the charge, or was that X that added the
4.
charge?
4, yeah.
Yeah, because that didn't really add anything either. It's like
Nah.
Steve said, it just
And
ruined
it took
the
away from
soundtrack.
the music. Yeah,
Right, exactly.
Yep.
Took up a channel of
Already made
sound.
that point.
All right. Number 20.
Street Fighter 2. Wait.
Super Nintendo.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Super Nintendo or
Super Nintendo
is
version.
it?
Yeah.
Ken's
It's got that.
You can tell that. Sounds like the Doom music. That's
Yeah. Another
Yeah.
Capcom game. Another great music.
Another fighter I haven't played.
I only ever played that on the
Well,
PC.
I mean, I'm sure I
Generation-defining
played
game.
it here and
Oh,
there. but
seriously? That's
I've
awesome.
only ever played Street Fighter 2 on the PC. I think I actually even put PC as far as my platform when I put that on my
Wow.
list.
It's on your list?
Street
For the
Fighter
PC.
2 was on my list
Nice.
for the PC.
I'm not.
And
a
we have
fighter
one vote
player.
for Street Fighter 2 on the PC.
Didn't we have a vote for Street Fighter 1?
We did. I think we had a couple people vote that just put Street Fighter, and unfortunately we couldn't
That is a
read their
game.
mind to assume that was 2. So this could have been higher up in the list. As it is, it received 10 votes. We did combine all of the original Street Fighter 2 games. 5 for the arcade, or 6 for the arcade. 1 for Turbo SNES. 1 for Super on Genesis. 1 for Special on Genesis, and 1 for Turbo Super on the 3DO.
Maybe I must have put arcade then.
You might have just left it blank. And
That too.
if it was left blank, we put arcade. So that was
I played it on a
this
Windows
this was the game that ignited the
3.1.
console war. Before Street Fighter 2, Super NES was lagging.
So
Well-
good looking on the SNES.
And it
Oh.
reignited the arcades, too.
Oh, yeah.
The arcades were starting
Absolutely.
to die out. And this is one of those...
It led to Mortal Kombat. Too.
It did. And this was the first game where... I remember as a kid, having to actually like put your quarter up on the screen
Yep.
to
Yeah.
like
I would say
call
there
your
was
place
always
in
a
line.
for
Yeah.
Street Fighter 2.
I mean,
You
This
didn't
was
know
a big
sprites
deal.
could be this big. I mean, maybe there were
yeah.
games, but like they were just so big and
Well, they were
animated
all
and
animated, and
everybody's
it wasn't like there wasn't any lag in what they were doing.
Yeah.
It was so flowing.
There was this kid that came to visit his grandparents a couple doors down from us every summer, and he was kind of on the dorky side. And the first time we played Street Fighter 2 in front of him, he's like, oh, intense! He was totally like that dorky kid from every 80s commercial.
Wow.
it's awesome.
We always say that.
intense.
Intense!
That's fantastic. So, Cincinnati Hollow-Dome in
Oh.
Sharonville. Was it Sharonville?
Yes.
Okay, so we were not the wealthiest of people, but we had a weekend at the Hollow-Dome. So we were staying there, and my
Well
dad...
spent.
Yeah, my dad gave me a roll of quarters,
Oh.
and they had a Super Street Fighter machine.
Wow.
So I used the entire roll of quarters trying to get Cammy's ending, and I could not do it.
They always cranked the difficulty up on the arcade unit. There was one across the street from my high school, and it was fucking hard because I could beat the crap of the SNES version.
Well, I got the SNES version, and then I played it, and I turned the difficulty down, and I was like, yes, I finally... What do you mean try it on a harder difficulty,
I
and you're
could
not
even-
going to give me
yeah.
a fucking ending?
I could even beat it in like the top level on SNES, and then I go to the arcade, and it just destroyed me.
Do you
No,
beat up the
exactly.
car in the arcade, or is that SNES?
Nope, in the arcade.
Okay, that was so cool.
The arcade and the barrels.
And
Wasn't that Ken's car? Wasn't there a comic somewhere that they were laughing that it was Ken's
Ken
car?
beats up his own car.
I don't remember. It's just I thought there was.
I think that was a
When
Robot
Ken-
Chicken sketch.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
All right.
My car.
My car. That's funny. I can
But,
see that. Yeah.
One of the
Uh-huh.
the Genesis version, underrated. Better gameplay. The sound was more the music was close to the arcade game. The sound effects sucked because they were samples, but very very underrated version.
Came out
Most-
too late though, right?
Yeah,
like a
it-
year after the SNES. It came out the same time as Turbo did. But a lot of people think it sucks, but it actually plays
With a
better.
6-button
with a 6-button
controller.
controller. Yes.
They planned really well. That was pretty cheap. They came out with Street Fighter 2 and then Turbo less than a year. It wasn't even like they waited a year for the next iteration of
Yeah.
it.
And that's the thing.
They
They
thought,
were
look,
so
it works with Mega Man.
tiny-
Let's just not even
tiny
put
very-
out new stages.
Well, no, they did, but they didn't. I mean, Mega
Hey.
Man, like they didn't even put out new. I mean, they did put out new stages with the Street Fighters. It was just like, oh, cool, new people. But they brought out Cammy, and I liked Cammy. And then I ended up finding out her real story, and it's stupid. good. Like, I was cool with it, the version in the Super Nintendo. And then there's, like, they changed it.
Did you play this one, Brad?
Yeah, I played it for the Genesis, the Turbo. Was it the Championship Edition?
Yeah, special championship.
Yeah.
'Cause it was the
played that
first.
one.
It was the first home one that let you play Bison and Vega, Sagat, and
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Galaga.
when
Super,
like
yeah.
the Turbo for Super NES and the Special for Genesis were pretty close. I don't remember which one was first, but they're both about the same time.
I thought Genesis was first. I thought that was a big deal.
Oh, because they have the new characters.
Yeah, because it was the only way to get the
Turbo,
new characters.
They had
Turbo
the
did
new-
not. Turbo was just faster.
Yeah.
No,
And
Turbo
then-
had all the new characters, not
No, no.
not the new characters.
Oh, it's like Tomahawk,
like
and
the-
Super.
yeah.
Okay.
Super was Tomahawk and
I'm wrong.
DJ, and
Okay.
the people
Yeah.
nobody ever
Fei
used
Long.
to Canby.
T-Hawk.
Yeah, T-Hawk,
Sorry,
Fei
T-Hawk,
Long.
yeah.
T-Hawk,
DJ
Fei Long,
with his
DJ.
racist smile.
And Maximum. The
He
down the
was
side of his
bad.
pants it said Maximum.
He was the Poochie
And
of Street Fighter characters.
The Maximum is something that you can have it turned either way. And like you can have it facing
Oh, and
front
it
or
reads the
back
same.
and it reads the same.
That's cool.
That's why they put Maximum on there. Yay.
Oh.
They didn't put any word on there, but it's fast.
Yeah, I played the Genesis version, and I believe that had Turbo as well, where you could bump up the speed on
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
And
that game was
yeah.
fast
They
too
could
in
put
the
a
higher
higher-
versions. I mean,
Yeah.
Reads the same either way.
You would play one or two matches on the Turbo, and then I'm going back down.
Go back to regular. And
the thing is, I mean, this Street Fighter 2 really, I think, built what fighting games are today.
oh, absolutely.
I mean, 100%.
For better and for worse, because the super technical side of fighters is total yawn fest.
Do you
for
guys
me.
remember playing like Double Dragon, the one-on-one?
Oh,
Wasn't that Double
I just
Dragon
picked,
2?
Yeah,
I just
Double
picked it
Dragon
up
5.
for Jaguar.
Jaguar? Yeah.
Double Dragon 5.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not on our top 100
They
list.
did- they
unfortunately.
ended
No,
up
nah.
doing fighting games of everything forever at that point. Like they did the after Street Fighter 2 hit.
We're gonna do a episode like a Killer Apps episode of Street Fighter 2 where we cover all of the shitty clones.
I would
of
like to
Street
play
Fighter.
it more than I have.
Turtles Tournament Fighters on the NES.
That was like the one fighting game on the NES.
Yeah.
Not very good, but
The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Mighty Morphin
fighting
Power
game.
Rangers game.
Mighty
yeah.
Morphin Power
That
Rangers,
was-
yep. And Killer Instinct. I mean, they're all over the place, but it's
Tattoo Warrior. What's it? Tattoo Assassin?
Tattoo Assassins.
Yeah.
Killer
That's my
Instinct.
favorite.
Killer Instinct was
Way
trying to be
Warrior.
more like Mortal Kombat, wasn't it?
Yes.
Because it was trying to
Yeah.
compete with Mortal Kombat 3's combo system.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
it's,
vice
it's a
versa.
giant fucking tree, and Street Fighter 2 is the trunk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, totally. I mean,
It's the Shaft.
yeah.
Street Fighter
Oh,
2.
yeah.
Next.
on
Dick
that
jokes
note.
plus one. Number 19. Let me turn my volume.
Amuse myself.
Little curveball here.
Sounds like a Genesis game.
Oh, Sonic the Hedgehog. No. Yeah, it was Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm trying to remember which one. Is this
CD?
2?
Sonic 2.
And
This
what
is
the
Sonic
heck
2?
is this music
Yeah.
from?
Metropolis Zone near the end.
Yeah.
Few people
Say,
have
this
beaten this
sounds
game.
Yeah.
familiar.
I got
More, more
I-
people would
got that far,
recognize
sorry.
this.
Yeah.
Wait, so is that the one with Marble Zone? Is that the one where you can drown?
You can drown on all
Yeah.
of them.
You drown, yeah.
Casino Zone was in this one, I think.
I like
Yeah,
Casino
Casino Zone.
That's
Casino Zone with
wonderful.
the slot machines.
Yes.
Yeah, so fun.
Marble Zone was in the
metagame.
first one. Sonic 2 and
Labyrinth
1.
Zone was in the Deuce.
No,
Oh,
Labyrinth
wait.
Zone was in first one.
Wait,
That's the one where you're
chemical
underwater.
plants.
Chemical Plant Zone.
Yeah,
Oh,
chemical
and that's
plant.
the one that has the liquid in it, but
Yeah,
it looks like
Purple.
Pink
coolant.
liquid or
Yeah, it
something.
looks like yeah.
That is the best 2D platforming stage of all time.
It is
Once-
really
Yeah,
cool.
it's-
Second.
You go so fast, and it
Yeah.
keeps up, and it's
Blast
that.
processing.
Hey, don't diss it. It fucking worked.
Yeah, I mean, you
The
couldn't
whole
get-
idea that you were beating the scrolling, feeling like you were breaking the game, you were going so fast.
Mhm.
That was deliberately done, and it was badass.
Sorry,
It was like you were
level?
ahead of the
first-
camera.
the second level?
Chemical Zone.
Okay. This one got my vote because of the two-player mode. Probably I'm the only person that voted for it because of that. That's the bonus stage, or that's all the the Chaos Emerald stages when you're playing one player.
Well, in the
Yeah.
2-player, you get Tails, and then like
And you can
It's
have your
split
little
screen.
sister play with
yeah,
you.
and
Yeah,
she
and
can
it
buy
doesn't
as
do
much as
anything.
she wants.
The second player was invincible. They die, but they didn't run
They
out
had
of
fun.
lives.
Right.
Yeah.
Or they just don't have to do anything and it follows the
Yeah.
first player
Exactly.
around.
Exactly.
It was
It's that's a very passive kind of two-player
Like-
cooperative, quote unquote, but not really.
It's-
'cause, yeah.
It's kind of like Miss Pac-Man and Pac-Man, Sonic 1 and 2. You could say that they're basically the same game, but Sonic 2 just had enough of those advancements, and they kept it punk rock stage style where it's not super long. Sonic 3 got bogged down with super long stages.
Yeah, it did.
But 2 is the pinnacle.
Zach can get to like the third level on his own in Sonic
That's
2.
awesome.
And
It was-
the music's great, Sonic's great.
It's gorgeous.
One-
It's absolutely beautiful.
I mean, I think
It
I
is.
think everybody can figure out that 1 got more votes than 2, but we didn't feel like combining them because they're both great games on their own. And
Oh, spoilers!
I didn't know that.
I
mean,
didn't
even
know
though I knew
that.
that,
Yeah.
but I guess but at one point in time.
Well, sorry,
Yeah.
I
Oh, well.
ruined it. We can rewind it and pretend we didn't hear that.
Can we do
Edit.
can we do a record zip?
The audio equivalent of a jump cut.
Yeah, I will say the Sega. That is what I probably remember, the Sega logo. My friends had a
That
Genesis.
is Sega.
He and all those commercials. Boy.
Oh, the Julienne Fries commercial, the infomercial commercial.
Sonic 2 slices. It does.
It also makes
Julian Fry. Yeah,
That
that's
was
great.
beautiful.
Well, no,
Why?
right. Well, that
You can
was
also
great.
play it.
Oh God.
That was good.
But really, the fact that they did 1 and 2 back to back so quickly and
within
it
1
was
year,
so
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was that was the Genesis's peak right there, 92, that early 92 with Sonic 2, Streets of Rage 2, just Cho Jam and Earl. I mean, just that whole man. That's. I mean, I bought my Genesis and got Sonic. That's the thing. I voted for Sonic 2 because that game made me buy it, the system, and I got a copy of 1 and 2 for free with it.
That was probably the best time to have a Genesis.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Right.
And there's me that didn't get a Genesis until I was 28.
Okay, number 18.
Pokemon. Blue, red, and yellow.
Pokemon Blue, Red, and Yellow.
Don't sound too excited.
This is kind of catchy.
No,
The
the
game
music
that
was
came
good
out
in this.
9 years after the Game Boy
Yeah.
was invented.
And
Yeah.
I mean, just the Game Boy was a joke. Like if you, I had GamePro at the time, and it's not the best magazine. Everybody says EGM's better, and it probably was, but I had GamePro.
Game
And,
Pro was
you know,
good. It wasn't bad.
EGM got better. AGM early. Anyway,
So
yeah.
So I get in GamePro, and they've got all your SNES games, all your Genesis games, all your whatever other platforms. Then there'd be like 2 pages at the back with Game Boy reviews, and almost all of them would have 1s and 2s for
sleeping guy.
the little sleeping guy
Yeah.
for the scores of all the games. Mortal Kombat for the Game Boy.
Well, that's a bad example.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what was coming out at this point.
Mario Land 2.
The game, like the Super
That
Game
was a
Boy,
good game.
I know.
the Super Game Boy revitalized it a bit. Was it like 93 or 94?
94.
Yeah. So I mean, that was
Donkey
pretty
Kong.
late. But that 92,
This is 4 freaking years later, right? 98 is Pokemon. I think 97. 98.
yeah,
98.
like
Say,
just,
yeah,
like
late
I mean,
90s,
the
yeah.
Game Boy was dead. It was a joke.
It was. Yeah.
And this little weird commercial came on one day. I'm in college, so this is way underneath me. I never got into it. But I see this guy on a bus, and these cartoon characters that are like, "Hey, little guy, come on board!" And this little Squirtle thing comes on, and I don't know which one it was. Was it Squirtle?
Squirtle the turtle.
What the
Probably
cartoon?
Squirtle, that was-
but he gets on
Bulbasaur-
a bus.
Bulbasaur,
And,
Squirtle, or Pikachu was in all the ads.
but
Charmander.
yeah, but
Charmander.
this cartoon character gets on a bus, and it's like monster fight with your friends. I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? And 6 months later, everybody and their goddamn grandma are playing Pokemon, and it's on TV, and a movie's coming out, and
And,
the first mega anime hit in America, really.
and at that point, you would have thought
Created
a year from now,
that's new. That
people
wasn't
will-
just imported 10 years later.
Well,
like
no,
Dragon
it
Ball.
was the
Yeah,
it
and
was
then it
the
just kept
pander
going
to
and
children.
going,
And still,
and it died
They
down a
actually
little bit,
pandered that
and
to
then all of a
children.
sudden
Everything
it came
else
back
wasn't
because
as
it was
much.
like all of a sudden there's like diamond, pearl, blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
I'm like, why are they bringing back?
It seems like it will never
Pokemon?
end at this
Like,
point.
15 years later,
seriously.
it's still going strong. I mean, we talked
Amazing.
about it with the other version of
Oh
Pokemon.
God, 15 years.
Yep.
Yeah,
But okay,
Pokemon can drive now.
Oh God.
I think we talked about
Only a
Resident Evil
learner's
2 being
permit.
marketed so well. This one, first of all, it made you buy 2 copies of the same game, basically. So that's twice as much money for everybody that buys it. And also it used the link cable, which no one ever used for anything. People were digging out their link cables, like, where is it?
I used it for Tetris.
For Tetris.
Yeah, well, for Tetris, if you... I guess because everybody did have
Everybody
Tetris.
had Tetris.
Yeah.
And it had one of the most brilliant taglines ever. Gotta catch them all.
Gotta catch 'em all.
And you can't catch them all unless you have both versions.
Yes,
of
And it gave us one of the greatest episodes of South Park.
Yeah.
Team Pokemon.
Yeah.
Join Bombsy Harbor.
I respect the hell out of it. I mean, this is an easy game to hate, but I don't. I mean, one time I was sitting on a bus coming home from work,
I think.
and this like 7-8-year-old boy was with his mom on the bus, and this boy talked for 25 minutes nonstop about how Pokemon evolve and what comes into what, and mom's like, yeah,
I know there's nothing more tiresome than being talked about
that's great,
Pokemon
but,
by someone who knows every single Pokemon.
But
So-
this kid, like,
I don't know what
if
you're
I
talking
could have gotten so deep into that something like that when I was 7 or 8, yeah.
Well, we tried something when I was working at GameSwap. We were like, all right, let's do this. I want all 50 states and their capitals, or all 151 Pokemon. Guess which one we completed?
Wait, this is the people that work there? you
Pokemon.
said?
Yeah, that was yeah.
Oh, the Pokemon.
We did the Pokemon. We were able to remember all 151 Pokemon, and I'm
Including
saying
who evolved
100.
into who, and
It was because you can kind of go down the lines with them, and it was like I taught kids how to play Pokemon the card game. I took my brother to the first showing of the first stupid movie, and it was stupid, but we got a card.
My
That card game was such
sister
a
used
big
to go to Toys R Us every week and trade Pokemon.
Yeah.
And she also would get like Mewtwo or whatever, like the
Yeah,
one that you
you
couldn't
get it-
get at all.
right.
On Tuesdays at Toys R Us?
Yeah.
At Sawmill?
No, I was in Mansfield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She did make a lot of friends there, though, that she's still friends with.
When I
That's
worked
so
there, that
cool.
was a big deal. And I remember the one kid, PJ, that worked in our zone with me, like, he always ran the Pokemon night. And it was like...
Huge.
He was so into it. Like, he absolutely loved like all the kids coming in and everything and helping him out. He knew all the cards. He knew what to trade for people and stuff. It was,
And was this the
that's
first
what I
time that they
did.
took a card game and made a video game out of the card game that I can think of? Really, was there like a Magic video game before that?
No.
Yeah.
Well, and it was nice. It was nice because
Yeah.
I will say, like the card game and the RPG, like the game itself, got kids into role-playing games. So it made the kids want to learn how to play it and use strategy. And, you can't take your Rattata and have him be, awesome and go up against all these things. Like, there were strategies that you had to learn. And albeit basic, it was a nice, if you were, 6, 7, 8 years old, which Idiot Brother was, he was very, very much into Pokemon at the time, so it was a good series to get into. And damn it, some of them are really cute.
And Pikachu is adorable.
Yeah.
It's the
Oh,
only
he's awesome.
Pokemon I ever knew, and it's because I had a light up keychain that when you pushed its butt, its little cheeks lit up.
Its little cheeks
And
light up.
It would go Pika. Pika.
And Pikachu gave us the cheat.
Thank you, Pokemon.
Be careful, that's only the cheat.
Thank you. That's absolutely right.
You had a really good point though, Becky, about making RPGs popular. Well, Final Fantasy VII did too, but it was like an the graphics didn't matter really.
Exactly,
for it.
exactly.
Yeah, it was the depth of the game.
Right.
that got people into
Well, and
Yeah.
it was nice. It was a great starter. Like, you give Final Fantasy VII to that 14, 15-year-old. You give Pokemon to the younger kid.
Put Final Fantasy in every fucking segment.
Hey, we haven't mentioned Final Fantasy in like 10 games.
yeah,
It's
we've been a
funny.
pretty
You know,
Shut your pie hole.
Everybody
At least
laugh.
an hour.
Shut your pie
Did everybody
hole.
laugh?
Yes.
Okay.
But I couldn't play Pokemon for like 7 years after it came out. I worked at Magic Mountain, which is a family fun center here.
Fun.
And when it came out, we had a dedicated Pokemon section for a good 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
And we'd have like the posters with all the Pokemon on it. And, we'd spend a lot of time over there with all the kids that were redeeming all their tickets for...
Did you
For
have to
Pokemon
have
stuff.
somebody dress as one of the Pokemon, or is that?
No, that was SpongeBob and a couple others. But
Another.
So, yeah, do you remember the sticker stations? Remember Pokemon Snap and the sticker stations?
That
That was-
Blockbuster
Oh, yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Yeah,
You could print out.
Yeah, where you could print out the stickers of the things the pictures that you took.
Wasn't also compatible with the camera and the printer or the printer?
I don't remember.
No, 'cause
The regular game was, but Snap wasn't.
Well, and the yellow was it the Super Game Boy connectivity that had special games that you could play, or was it?
They all did have like Super Game Boy Colors because they came out after that.
Did they? I didn't think they had the variation on it. It's just I thought there was Surfing Pikachu, which was I think was something special.
All right, we're getting a little too deep.
Right, so we'll say a couple things. One thing, another thing. I mean, other than just getting kids into role playing games, this got a lot of kids into reading. Like there were lots of kids who, from my time when I worked at Toys R Us, who the parents who came in said they were really struggling reading books. They were struggling to read, like at their grade level. But when they wanted to play Pokemon, they had to read.
And how many boys had fantasies about Mitzi? Is that her name?
Misty.
Misty, yeah.
With the midriff bearing. I mean, that's yeah.
But then also, like the card game too, you had to be able to read for that.
What?
Steve's over here turning pink.
No, I'm saying there's good cosplayers of that now.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
I'm guessing she
San
wears
Diego-
a little
San
more
Diego
than
Comic-Con.
midriff, though.
A little bit more, yeah.
little underboob showing. Is that what you're saying?
Someone that's actually legal.
Probably
I hope so
not.
at this point.
The other thing I'll say too is the stupid first Pokemon movie is actually really good. They cut like 37 or 40 minutes out of the U.S. version of it, and the Japanese version actually completely makes sense. And what's funny is they actually dubbed the entire thing. Like if you import the Japanese
Greg are you
DVD,
again?
what's that?
Which Greg are you? Are you
Otaku.
Otaku Greg?
Anime Greg. I'm like,
Although you're not as bad as open source Greg.
I'm kind of a mix between the two. Like
He's all the Gregs.
if Anime Greg and open source Greg like had a kid, like I'd probably be that kid.
This is their other brother, Greg.
Okay. All right, number 17.
Plaintiff.
Modern game. Obviously.
And
Sounds like
I'm out.
Inception.
Say modern game because none of us can recognize the music.
Is it something from Bethesda?
Is it Skyrim?
Is it a Star Wars?
No.
No.
Is it your mom?
Is it one of the Halos?
Fallout.
Fallout 3.
Fallout 3.
Memorable, huh?
That game with the ants?
Simant?
There's ants in it?
Yay!
Simant. Simant.
No, isn't there some like new modernish game where huge ants are taking over the city?
Oh, the bug invasion game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Earth Defense Force?
Yeah. Earth
What?
Defense Force. That's what-
EDF?
Yeah.
That should
Earth
have made
Defense
the list.
Force.
Unfortunately, it didn't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
It's
Fallout
late.
3
I'm
has
tired.
Liam
I'm gonna
Neeson's.
slap Happy.
Liam Neeson's is in it.
Wait, what?
He's at the beginning. He's your dad.
Yeah.
Well, Bethesda, they always do that.
Does he die?
Patrick Stewart's at the beginning of Oblivion, and because they have enough money for like one big name. And they just-
For 5
10
minutes.
One big name from Britain.
I think he might die. Well, like
Liam Neeson
like
is,
with
Northern
Oblivion,
Irish.
it has a really cool setup and beginning, and then you exit the cave where you're living, and the whole game is just like you can do anything, and it's all kind of. I don't like this game either. So
Brad and Tori are modern gaming experts.
Yes,
never
tell us
played
about
this.
Fallout 3.
Huh?
I've played Fallout 1 and 2, which were actually more of top-down RPG style games, and this was the first one where they kind of went more first-person.
Basically, they bought the rights, Bethesda, and they made it a Skyrim game or
Yeah.
an Elder Scrolls
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, I haven't played Fallout 3 or New Vegas yet, so I unfortunately don't have
How
much
did we get tagged as
information on
the
that.
modern gamers?
Mass Effect.
Mass
Oh, Mass
Effect.
Effect, yeah.
Portal. Although we already covered
I
Portal.
saw some
covered
portals
Portal without
upstairs.
Sniffles.
They covered Zombies Ate My Neighbors without me, so deal.
Do you have zombies glowing on your wall in your bedroom?
But the Fallout universe,
That would
she
be a
could.
little scary.
No, but every once in a while I'll run around going hoo-ha, hoo-ha, for no reason. So there we go.
the Fallout universe is pretty a pretty interesting location. The whole post-apocalyptic world.
It's got some good iconography.
But it's humorous too, right?
Yeah, it's very humorous. They have I'm trying to remember what they call it, like the
boy.
Yeah, the boy guy that they have
Pit
there.
Boy, isn't it?
Huh?
Well, that's
Like
the thing
Pit
that you
Boy?
have on your
Oh,
arm.
Pit
Boy or something. Yeah,
yeah, that's a really good invention too.
Yeah.
Like has all your heads-up display. It's just on this arm,
and you're collecting bottle caps as your money throughout the world.
Oh yeah, we got bottle caps at MagFest because now I understand that reference.
Because I didn't find the game
Nuka-Cola
very
or
humorous, and I also thought that the gore then was too like just exploitative or over the top, or all you do is decapitate people and it's blood flying everywhere.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
disgusting.
it got a lot more uncomfortable as opposed to humorous.
Okay,
and I think that's kind of where they're kind of going with it. Like they're trying to push it up to that point where it's a little uncomfortable, but with Fallout 3 they went a little bit too far in the little bit that I've played so far. I haven't played New Vegas yet, so I'm not sure if they toned that down or not enough.
And I mentioned this earlier. You can like basically freeze freeze the combat for every enemy and choose where you want to hit them, so that if you don't like things happening in real time, this one's preferable to Skyrim or Oblivion.
See, that is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, and you choose like the limbs or the head, and you have different. It tells you like how much damage you'll do. It's kind of like a Vagrant Story, I would say.
Yeah, trying to mix the real time action game with a RPG.
Yeah,
Like Swords and Serpents? No, just don't. No.
So I just don't like that they put out these games without the polish. Like they're way too buggy and too loose and sloppy. And I heard New Vegas is even worse than Fallout 3. Like it was made by another team.
Is it another one?
Too much.
It's another one where it's just ship it, meet your date, and then patch it later.
Yeah,
Well,
or
and then
not.
let your players find the bugs for you and don't have to pay anybody to do it.
Oh.
Internet connection.
Well,
on
it
a
was the
game
number
con-
17 game of all time on our list, so we shouldn't shit on it too much.
Yeah, I know your listeners.
Yeah,
don't
I know.
hate me,
It's
I like the little guy.
Well, we're just not
the
that
little
kind
50s
of
looking guy.
It's not on our list,
Yeah.
but it
It's-
did
That's
get
a 50. It's from Fallout, isn't it?
it did get 11 votes and two guest votes, so it was.
Hey, listeners! If you enjoy this game, let us know why we should play it.
it's on my list to play. I just haven't gotten to it.
So I probably played it the
through
most
other
out of
stuff.
anybody in this room.
So do you even have it?
Yeah, we have it. I've played it. I've played
It's really
probably
cheap.
through
It's
the
like
Is
first
that one of the ones
first
that's like
hour or so.
gathering dust in the back of my fancy
Yeah,
game
it's
bin
on
over
the
there?
it's on the list of games I need to complete.
or start. No.
Remind me to be shopping when you do that.
Number 16, you can hear a giant unzipping sound.
Final Fantasy 6.
Final Fantasy
3.
3.
Final Fantasy 3. I can't call it 6 because Chris gets pissy.
I agree with him though. 3 was the version we played, and they made a
Yes, technically Final Fantasy 3 is a version that I played, and I played the shit out of it, but I've also beaten Final Fantasy 3, a reproduction on the NES hardware, because I have a repro of it.
But that's 3G.
But anybody who says they played Final Fantasy 6, you ask them if they played it on a Super
I have
NES.
6. I want to play it. I have a reproduction of the Final Fantasy. I have
Calm the fuck down.
down.
Rip his throat out, Becky.
Calm down. It's
Finish him. Okay.
Throw your magic dice
So
at
this
me
is,
there.
this is
So-
the best emotive sprites. Like
Oh my god! Yeah.
so much going on with the tiny little
Oh, and they
sprites.
can like freak out. And they have little freak out eyes, and
Yeah.
and even the
And they
Moogle has
collapse.
freak out eyes.
And they-
Yeah. And I learned what the word annihilated means by getting my ass handed to me.
And the story in this one, oh my gosh, the story in this one
And
was
it's-
amazing.
It's a roller coaster in that shit actually goes down. Because normally it's like, oh, some guy's going to take over the world, and I have to stop him. He fucking does
Yeah.
it!
And it's two kinds of games, like because the second half you can do things in whatever
Second half
order.
is
Yeah,
kind of
you-
open. It's
Yeah.
there's
Technically, you
The
can beat the
narrative-
game with Celeste, Edgar, and Setzer. Those are the only 3 characters that you need to beat. It's called the CES ending, and it is the saddest thing you'll ever say. Because the ending, if you don't have the character, they black it out, and the character's interaction is different. So, like, they're talking about, oh, I miss all these people that I
That
don't
we didn't
know.
go find. They're probably
Yeah, we
dead.
didn't go find. Like,
They're just on deserted
this
islands,
is really sad.
cast across the entire world.
Yeah, no, I played the
I-
hell of it. I wrote fan fiction about it. I
Oh, no.
I
It has
drew a
Mog.
picture.
It has
I drew a
Mog.
picture of Umaro, and it was on the fridge at the house for the longest. Like when I was young. I love this game.
I still prefer 2. I think 3 got a little goofy. I still like it a lot, but like throwing dice to defeat enemies,
and the Street Fighter moves.
Street Fighter moves.
Oh my god, that was so much fun though. That was the one thing I could do. I could not do any of Squall shit. I couldn't do any of it. But
I used to play this on emulator. I played it on Super Nintendo originally, but then I would play it on my iMac. And the Street Fighter moves, I had no idea what buttons to press because A and B are like L and Z on my keyboard.
Dude,
that's what you get, you dirty pirate.
Well, no, you can suplex a fucking train, and that's so wonderful. It's nice tongue in cheek and silliness, and the translation is not the best thing in the world because I remember when Sabin sits down at the train. And technically, it was Final Fantasy III because his name is Sabin, not Mash. No, when Sabin sits down at the train in the ghost train to have food served to him, he eats it and says, "Snarf, gobble, snap." And I think that's hilarious. I always thought that was hilarious. And if you fuck up the opera, so the opera was like an interactive thing, and we were laughing so hard because they use a wah wah voice, and it. So we were laughing so hard, I missed the first cue. If you miss the cue, it does the record scratch sound.
Oh no!
It was like whir, whir, and then you have to do it again. It was hilarious.
So but every character has a different special thing that they do. So if you don't like the Street Fighter moves, you can eventually just not play as that character. I think. So.
But he was such a badass.
And I think, and Becky and I, we were talking about this the other day. We think that was one of the things that Final Fantasy II had on top of Final Fantasy III was that because they controlled which characters you had in your party, they were able to control the character development a lot better.
There were fillers.
Yeah, there were a lot of filler characters in Final Fantasy III. There were characters I forgot about because I haven't played it since I originally played it. And
yeah, I spent a lot of time with Gao, but that was because I liked getting the rages. I liked getting silly things like that. So I spent a lot of time with that. I maxed out many characters. I got the Paladin shield. You have to fight 255 battles with a cursed shield. So to be able to survive a battle with the cursed shield, you have to have the ribbon equipped. So you have to be able to get a ribbon and a cursed shield. Equip them both, and then you get the Paladin shield. And Paladin shield teaches you Ultima if you fight enough battles, and it's a +1 or it's a ×1. So
and the music, I have a 3-disc set.
God.
There's 3 discs of music.
And it was gorgeous.
So
Music was
There's
amazing.
a lot of filler in that soundtrack. I have to admit, I like a lot of it. I'll play something that I like.
It did the opera. And if you like the music, pick up Final Fantasy 6, and it is 6 because it's a Japanese version. Grand Finale.
I have that. Yeah. Orchestral. Yeah.
It has them singing the opera in Italian.
Tori, Brad, you guys are going to quiet. Have you guys played this?
I've never played a Final Fantasy
played
game in my entire life.
Never? Not a single one?
Not one.
I played 1, 2, 7, most of 8, and a little bit of 9.
You skipped them.
7 was really good. It was the one that I really liked. 8 I got most of the way through, and I just could not finish it. It was... And I tried to start 9, and I just could not get into it. I've heard that if you go through with 9, it gets a lot better, but I just couldn't do it.
Only 11 votes, so it's not the universally loved game that a lot of people claim that it is. Out of 83, I keep saying that to haters out there that yes, these games are highly rated, but this survey proves that gaming is not a universally. It's not like everybody puts the fucking Beatles as the best band of all time. I mean, it's not.
Well, so, okay, I'm going to say that there was editing in the American version. The reason I got the reproduction of Final Fantasy VI
because you're a fucking nerd.
Is there's editing in it. They pulled out some of the more adult themes when Celeste is in the Dark World and she jumps off the cliff. She's actually trying to commit suicide. And they don't go over that at all in the American version. It's like, if you jump off the cliff, it just peps everybody up and everyone survives. No. It was dark and she was trying to commit suicide. Like, the feel of the characters in that game, they did a really good job at fleshing out some of them, not all of them.
It's a very melancholy game anyway. I mean,
it is.
The American version, yeah.
Holy shit, the Kefka as a boss. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you know what? Sephiroth, you can have your katana all day long, because I know you do some fucking damage, but Kefka used poison on Doma and killed an entire city of people.
Shouldn't have drunk that red water there.
That's not okay.
When is it a good idea to drink red water?
Well, I guess they had no choice because they were under siege, right?
Yeah,
In the
yeah. I
castle,
mean,
so,
there was.
yeah.
I think they were cut off. Like the castle itself was cut off.
Yeah.
But
Still, never a good idea to drink red water.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
well, yeah, and it was like
I'm just
everybody.
saying.
Like, how did
At least
science
boil the
survive
shit.
that? And everybody else was like everybody.
Nobody drank water. They were just standing at the guard tower.
Yeah, just people were like.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was
plot
like a.
points, whatever. It's 16-bit graphics.
I don't know. I never played it.
Fill in the holes.
It was wonderful. It had a cool commercial
And it has
too.
the castle, the tower defense part with the where you have to like
Yeah, we have to
place the
put your
guys.
people in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you had multiple setups
Working
for
paths.
who. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did it in the final boss's place too. You also got to kill the fucking guardian, the thing that it takes you out earlier.
It is so funny sitting here watching Chris's face because it looks like Steve's face when he's describing everybody talking about Pokemon. Like they can't talk for half an hour about it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I like this game. The Final Fantasy games have made a big difference in my life, and there are things that I feel like I have to defend. I'm sorry, Chris.
No, I like it. I'm just not a mega fan, and
I'm one of those
and,
assholes.
but that's fine. And the good thing about our show is that it's not 8 mega fans talking about Final Fantasy 3 for 6 hours.
Which is true.
So, love your games, please.
But it's
and
but
let
I
me make
think
jokes, and that makes a better show.
yeah, and it deserves a lot of credit. I mean, it's one of the best games on the Super Nintendo.
Absolutely.
One of the most beautiful, one of the best soundtracks. I mean, it really is.
It plays
a
with Super Nintendo
fantastic
strengths.
game.
You don't have to worry about action.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. No, I mean that's exactly it.
And the nice thing about the Street Fighter stuff is you have time to do it. You get to suplex a train. If you want to, you can suplex a fucking train, and that's really
Drop a train on him, Edgar.
him.
Another Homestar reference if you're keeping score.
We're up to like what, 4?
We're up to 4 Homestar.
Yeah, the summons in that game were amazing, and the thing is that you didn't specifically have to use them, but they were all of them were unique.
I want
and
to
they were
play
all
through
gorgeous.
it once without using any espers. Like you could, because there's only 2 characters that can use magic.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, there's play,
Celeste and Terra.
Yeah, so that's one of those. But I'll never
To
play
mention
through it
my
again.
sister again, she still goes by Tara as a screen name.
That's
on my
fantastic.
things, yeah.
All right,
If you
so
get the chance, Brad, you should totally play this one. It's really, really good.
It's a good
I
one
might
as
have
long
to
as you
look
can.
at that.
As long as you can step
I
back
saw
and
it Super
enjoy
NES in your
classic.
bedroom.
Say now that we own an SNES.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Might
yeah,
have to
yeah.
be one.
You mean a
Sexy
SNES?
second edition.
A SNES?
Oh yeah, if it was a second
No,
edition, it
I'm
would
going to
definitely
start
be a
calling it
SNES.
the Super NES now.
Super NES.
Super NES.
All right, number 15.
Brought that conversation to a halt. Super NES!
Donkey Kong Country.
I'll leave it playing for a second.
Crickets. There's some drums.
This actually has a really good soundtrack too.
And gorgeous. Another one of those just
Oh,
beautiful
yeah,
games.
yeah.
This is a gorgeous game.
I'm
And
not
they-
going to
they
call
tricked
this.
people into thinking it was actually being rendered in
Yep.
3D
Right.
at the time. I was fooled.
A lot of things. I mean, there were a lot of things that claimed to be 3D
Vector
that were
Man.
just 3D rendered, and yeah,
Well, but I'm not going to complain about it because this is so
no.
much more beautiful than the awkward adolescence of
This
gaming.
this killed the Genesis finally once and for all. This is what put Nintendo in number 1 and ended the 16-bit wars. This Donkey Kong Country '94, and then its sequels later.
They came out with one every year for 3 years.
Yep.
It's one. It's
And-
fun and great and what reinvented the character. Because when you associate Donkey Kong, you associate Donkey Kong with the
yeah.
arcade game.
And it went back to basics. It was jump and attack. That's
Yeah.
all it was. I mean,
Squish beavers.
theme
and variation. It would show you something that would make it harder and harder
Yep.
and harder. So
Well, and it did a good job, like the levels that it was in. Like it did a nice representation of where you were, like the cave levels when you were in the mine carts.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun because those were always, that it was a neat like little roller coaster alternative to having
yeah, the
to
levels
jump and squish.
had kind of an arc to them too. Like they would just kind of ramp up, and then at the end they would just kind of be really manic, and then they finally end, and you're like, yes, I got through it. And I think even Donkey Kong Country Returns did it even better because they had more tools. Yeah.
And this one, we actually combined all 3 Donkey Kong Country games. Donkey Kong Country 1 got 7 votes. DKC 2 got 3. DKC 3 got 1 vote. But but honestly, we liked it a lot, and
I gave the edge to 2 myself because the music was a little bit better.
but I mean, it was like I said, this was democratic when we did all these. Why do we combine these and not combine Sonic, for instance? But so I'm happy with where it ended up at 15. It's not like the top 10 game, but it's very good. It's very important in history. And another cool thing I like about it is the little fake out at the end. If you remember this part.
Yes. Holy
Yep.
crap! This is so awesome. I was going to bring this up because this theme is amazing.
I'm on a happy little boat.
Oh, this is so much
The
fun.
ending. This is it.
What's going on here?
Get my bananas back. Wait. Wait.
Yeah, Daniel Tidwell does an amazing cover of this.
Wait.
So fun.
What's going on? What the? My bananas.
Ooh, the music got dark.
Yeah.
Now, does this lead to a boss or just lead to the next
The
game?
final boss,
Okay, the final boss.
King Arcruel.
Terrible boss, but like boss name. You gotta-
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, some of the boss designs are wonky in this game.
They're so 90s.
Yeah, and like even like the girl Donkey Kong. What was her name?
Dixie.
Dixie,
No, the tall one.
Oh,
Candy.
Oh, she was gross.
Trixie?
Mm.
Candy? Yeah.
Mm.
There was
That's some bad
There's
Western
one boss
design
that
there.
all it is just a barrel that throws out things at you. That's it. It's a big barrel.
Wasn't there a
Oh, well.
giant beaver?
Yeah, there's
Yeah, I
giant
was
beaver.
saying, no,
yeah.
there's a giant beaver.
I was.
Nice beaver.
I stuffed it
I
myself.
just gotta-
I say we eat the beaver. No, Rocko's Modern Life. Okay.
And I'm very excited about the new Donkey Kong Country Returns, a new game in the
3DS.
series for the 3DS. Yes.
I need to play the Wii
Or
version.
Wii U.
I bought it, but
Or
I haven't.
Wii U.
I haven't. Oh, wait for Wii U also.
Yeah, it's for Wii U. Yeah, Donkey Kong Country
Wii
Returns
U,
3D is
Wii
on
U.
3DS, which is a remake. But
Oh, that's right.
yeah, Tropical Blast or something. I don't know.
I gotta pick
Tropical
up some
Freeze.
Wii U games because the Wario and Game & Wario just came out, and I need to pick up Luigi.
Pikmin 3.
Pikmin 3.
Yeah, the Pikmin game.
I gotta
looks
support.
fun.
I mean, Nintendo's struggling right now. I gotta support them.
Yeah, they sold more Wii's than Wii U's. I read.
And we talked about this with a lot of other games. I think this is another one too that set really good ambiance for what they're doing. Like you really kind of felt like you were in that stage. I mean,
You're
for
in
a
a
16-bit
cave. You're in
game,
a
I mean,
snow-
And for
Storm,
better or worse,
blizzard.
that design to sample high quality computer graphics like that, you know, the PlayStation in that generation cheated a lot more with that stuff. But that
they implemented that
honestly,
really
the games,
well.
like a lot of those. This is another one we can do with killer apps, but there's like Bug and what's that other Saturn
Clockwork
game I'm
Knight?
thinking of? Clockwork Knight.
Mhm.
They didn't look as good as Donkey Kong
No.
Country on
No.
better
No.
hardware.
Even
So,
even Killer Instinct didn't.
no. So you know, it's a cheating technique, but they did it better than anybody else. Even later on with
It
better
was, it
stuff.
was bleeding edge too at the time, like super expensive. What
Oh
they
yeah.
were doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Idiot Brother got that for his birthday. That was a big
That
deal
was a
too.
Thanksgiving
'Cause-
game. That was came out for everybody to play on Thanksgiving vacation.
Yeah, I remember he like I remember finding out how much games actually actually really cost,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Oh, I meant like the hardware that Rare was using to make the game was
Oh.
just these huge workstations. I mean, they advertised it
What?
as we got this.
it was
electronic
$80.
graphics."
Yeah, I was gonna say it was SGI.
Yeah, the game was $80.
The game was $80, and I remember finding out how much it was, and then finding out that my birthday presents were not at those prices, and I was sad.
Number 14.
Ocarina of Time.
Yep.
I was gonna say
As I like
French.
to call it.
I was gonna call it Fresh Prince of Bel Air for a minute there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was waiting for West Philadelphia.
Born and raised
This was actually a
in West Hyrule. Born and raised.
that was actually a game that I bought the N64 specifically for.
And that was
When I
pretty
heard that was
pretty long
came out.
after the N64 had been released.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Oh,
I-
sorry, rupees.
Rupee.
I had the extra money, and I was spending the weekend at my grandma's house watching her house while she was out of town. So I went out and bought myself an N64
Wow,
Ocarina of Time and played through it in a whole weekend.
good use of time.
Damn.
Yes,
Yeah.
awesome.
I've never beaten it. I've started the game a couple times and I can't do it. I'm sorry.
I played it a little bit with a friend when I was out visiting, and it just seemed so silly, and yet it was so fun. Like That was a weird thing. Like, I wasn't used to playing a game that was so cartoony looking. Am I thinking of the right Zelda?
That's
Wind
Wind
Waker.
Waker.
Wind Waker.
Okay,
Yeah.
never mind.
No,
then.
it's the N64 Zelda.
Yeah.
This is the one that's great. You know,
But this is, this, and then Mario 64
I'll
and
go back to shutting up
Metroid
now.
Prime. They took their 3 core series, made just great 3D versions that feel like the original, but also add some new things to the formula.
music from this.
although
Yeah. it was-
Freaking Gerudo Valley.
Yes,
Yeah.
that, but
Urmagur.
the rest,
Well, that's the thing.
and it
like,
didn't have the Zelda theme anywhere. Maybe in the
Gerudo
game
Valley
credits,
was that was the song that
That was
was
good.
my favorite of.
I was super
And
disappointed.
Super
though.
Guitar
I think-
Brothers did a cover of it, and it's great. This music.
And actually, I think the 3DS version, I always preferred the 2D. I still do prefer 2D Zelda games. I wasn't a huge fan of Ocarina of Time when it first came out, but the 3DS version really nailed it. That was a great game. And
I think it says something about our listeners too that this is often number one game of all time, and
Ever.
this is only 14 on our list with 11 votes.
Well, and as we keep bringing up how overrated everybody thinks the Final Fantasy games are, I've got to say I'm in the
Final
boat that I
Fantasy.
think the 3D Zelda games are
Yeah.
overrated. I mean,
Yeah.
the people who are really into them, I mean, it's cool and it's neat and everything. They didn't do it for me. Not like
Well,
the 2D
Brad
Zeldas
is
did.
staring daggers at you. Brad's a Zelda guy.
That's the thing is it's reinvented though, because if you go ahead and you take the original Legend of Zelda and put it against Zelda 2, very different. And if you go ahead and take Zelda 2 and put it against Link to the Past is closer to the original Legend of Zelda. And then they brought out Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
I'm still a Link's Awakening girl, but they brought out Ocarina of Time,
Me
and,
too,
and
but
they
guy.
they reinvented it, and it almost feels like they used the mythos, but a whole different. It's not the same series or anything like that.
And one thing that I do like, the reason why I like the Zelda series as opposed to the Final Fantasy series, is it feels a lot more cohesive to me as a universe in general. Final Fantasy kind of seems like it gets all over the place
It is.
between all the
It
different
is.
games, and
It's
that's
supposed- yeah,
and that's the way it's designed. That's kind of why I like the Zelda
there's
universe a little bit better.
central
It's
theme.
more
They're
cohesive.
kind of a retelling of the same themes.
If you like role playing games,
Yeah.
check out Dragon Quest, because
Yeah.
those guys are a
I've
lot
played
closer.
Dragon
Yeah,
Quest a
see,
lot,
that's
yes.
the thing. Like they have
As
that
well.
same like central. Like when you go through, it's like, when am I going to find an Octorok? Oh, look, it's an Octorok.
I think the biggest issue for me is that the focus of Zelda moved from swordplay in the originals more to puzzles. The balance
And
shifted.
tools.
The
and
shift-
items. Yeah.
And the thing is, the items in most Zelda games are just virtual keys. You just use them to get to new areas most of the time. It's not so much to have new ways to kill enemies. It's mostly, you can't get past this. And that's even something in Link to the Past.
Yeah,
Right, you-
I mean that
Yeah, you
really.
always just kill
Gauntlet
enemies with
to
your
lift
sword.
the big
But
heavy
the
rock.
sword play in Ocarina of Time is extremely limited. Like you fight some bosses and a few enemies here and there, but it's not every room you go into is a claustrophobic area where you have to kill lots of things. So it's a different. It's a guy in green, but I don't think that they're similar beyond that. And Ganon's the last boss. That's about it.
Yeah, but it's Ganondorf. It's not really the same.
Ganondorf. Yeah,
Well,
there's a
the
lot
same-
of different.
but it-
there's same spirit of the
Right.
enemy,
Same
but
ratio
they're
of
different.
overworld to dungeon.
Yeah.
It's like a fan fiction of.
How about Majora's Mask, though? I kind of hated that when it first
Mer.
came out, but I think it's a
Not on the list. How about that?
Yeah.
Good job,
That's-
listeners.
I actually,
you don't
I
like
did
it, though?
I did like Majora's Mask.
I'd say it's probably maybe the best 3D Zelda. Yeah.
It's pretty close. I wasn't a fan of how repetitive it became throughout, because I mean, obviously you're going back in time a lot,
Yeah.
and that
Did you beat that on your own? Guys, I haven't played it because it just
Yeah,
seems like a
you
total
have to have
mind
a
fuck.
book.
You
You have
beat
to have a
all the
book.
Zelda games.
But did you
Yeah.
beat it by yourself or with a FAQ or a book or?
Oh no, I beat it by myself.
Oh my
Really?
God.
I mean, it took me a
Brad
lot
took
longer.
So hard.
Yeah, I mean, it
awesome.
took me a while to figure out exactly.
Congrats, sir.
You know,
That's-
figuring out everything in the time limit that you have. That
Did you
was
keep a notebook then?
Yeah, I kept a notebook. Yeah, I didn't use like any cheats or anything.
That's how
like
be
that.
fancy
I just had a
Star 2
memory
back
of,
in the day.
When Ocarina of Time came out, and I was a senior in high school, everybody had it, and we just talked about it. It was like back to the NES days where you talked about all the secrets in the
Right.
game and all the different things and how to beat this and how to beat that, and everybody kind of moved forward. We were on the same cycle. We moved forward at the same time. No. Sorry.
And I think Ocarina of Time also, if you've seen the timeline for it, it's basically right in the middle, and it was actually a branching within the storyline at that point, because Link goes back into the past when he's a kid.
Right.
And he basically messes up the timeline, so you actually have two diverging timelines.
Oh, time
in the
fuckery.
story.
I love time
Yeah.
fuckery.
Yeah, so like you get off into like the Minish Cap and the other Game Boy games at that point.
Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages.
Seasons, Oracle Ages, yeah. The train one, I can't remember what they call it.
Spirit Tracks.
Yeah, so that's one route, and then you have the other route that has some of the other games.
I do like the angry video game nerds explaining the Legend of Zelda timeline, because he can't.
Yeah.
The one thing that I really enjoyed out of Ocarina of Time is Lon Lon Milk. I'll take that away forever, because there's Lon Lons in it, and they're cute, and then there's milk from them, and that's also cute.
Yeah, like they never. I think it was after Skyward Sword they released the actual timeline of the games.
In that
Oh,
book,
wow.
the
Okay.
Hyrule
Yeah,
story book.
Yeah. So you actually finally got the official.
For reals, yeah.
And it was kind of a big thing when everybody realized, hey, it was branching at that point in the storyline, because Link and Ocarina of Time fucked everything up.
Gotcha.
God damn it!
It's like J.J. Abrams got to.
Yeah. There were lens flares. There were lots of lens flares in Oot.
Yeah.
Number 13.
Die, monster.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Yes.
Oh, I gotta play the whole thing.
That I'm once again given flesh. I was called here by humans who wish to pay me tribute. Tribute? You steal men's souls and make them your slaves. Perhaps the same could be said of all religions. Your words are as empty as your soul.
Is this the same guy doing both
Mankind
voices?
ill needs a savior such as you. What is a man?
In a closet. Like, he sounds...
But enough talk.
That's you!
It sounds like one guy doing two voices
I want everybody
in a
to-
closet. In an empty...
What is a man?
A miserable pile of secrets.
Have at you!
My friends in high school memorized this and would do it every day.
Oh,
Every
yeah.
day,
All the
yes.
time. Yes.
All right, so a 2D game when everybody was trying to do 3D.
Yeah.
Hand
How did they get this
animated-
released?
Yeah.
Hand animated. All of the motion that he did was translated from hand animated cells.
Sony
So
had
good.
specifically had a policy for companies to not release
Game was too good.
2D games.
Fucking crazy.
So this one just snuck out somehow, and it became greatest hits. It was a huge hit.
It's
For a
amazing.
time, it was an expensive game, too.
Soundtrack is wonderful. Gameplay is wonderful. The ability to level up is wonderful. You get to be Alucard, he's a badass. You
get that-
What is it with chicks and Alucard?
he's hot.
When you
You fucking vampire
Hot.
lovers.
Hot.
when you go in one direction and
Does
you
he
reverse direction, you do this
No.
like swoop around.
No.
And you're like, ooh.
This
So
this
nice.
game was really, I think, the absolute peak of 2D gaming. I don't know that it gets more beautiful than Castlevania Symphony of the Night without getting into like the modern like flash animation kind of style.
Which,
I mean,
honestly, that stuff doesn't. Something's off about those Flash games and like the Xbox Live Arcade games and stuff. Even if they're like perfectly
They
animated,
look like color forms.
It's
sliding
just
against
really
each other.
different.
This
There's
is
just
actually
something
pixels.
off about it,
This
yeah.
is pixels. Everything is of the same
It is
world. Yeah.
beautiful. It is absolutely a work of art. I love Castlevania Symphony of the
Music,
Night.
again,
Cool
another
powers.
phenomenal soundtrack.
They had random drops for the armor. You could equip yourself, so you had the RPG elements in it.
It was full of Easter eggs too. All the different armors that were just fun, or like
Yeah.
there's like the boots that raise you 1 pixel height. That's all they do. They just raise extension boots or something, and then you had to find the puzzle pieces to get the second half of the game, which was
Yes.
really hard to find. I think I did it on my own though.
Was
I
that
think there are some clues to it.
The reverse castle?
Yes, you beat okay, so if you beat the boss, you just get some lame ending. But if you beat the boss wearing the like X-ray specs or the sunglasses, you see the main boss that's controlling him, and if you just defeat that, and how are you supposed to know to do all this? I don't know. If you defeat that, you get the entire castle upside down with new music,
Yes.
and new enemies.
And 200%, you can
Over
actually
200%.
yeah, you can you
Yes.
can get to unlocking 200% of the
And you get
castle.
some mind-blowing slowdown though in the second castle. It's I mean, it's not good slowdown. It's terrible slowdown. So that's like the only flaw I think.
Interesting.
In the whole game.
There's a Saturn version. Does it have the same issue?
I don't know.
The Saturn version is amazing. It is gorgeous, and you got 3 characters you can play as in the Saturn
Did it
version.
come
You
out
got to
here?
play as
No.
Richter
Okay.
and Maria.
Well, was that the one that was on the Castlevania Chronicles?
It was.
On the
That was the one they
PSP?
picked.
Piece of shitty plastic.
It's the one we finally got after all these years. So it's definitely the superior version.
You know, I
But-
still call that. I still call the PSP the piece of shitty plastic because of you. Sorry, I hate
This
it so much.
one got 11 votes, 5 guest votes, 1 host vote. Who voted for it?
Me.
Your mom.
She's not a host.
Me, Steve.
She's a
Yes.
guest.
She's not a
Not even,
guest.
she's not even a guest, but she did vote. She did turn in a survey. Thanks,
Well,
Mom.
she was. You,
Oh, and the familiars. You can have like the
Yeah.
sword. That
The
they
sword
they
was
build
so
their levels
cool.
too.
I know. And he
The
like
bat?
meow. He didn't actually meow.
Have you guys played this?
no.
Haven't? It's really beautiful. The soundtrack is great. There's a lot of depth.
I've heard the soundtrack.
And it plays like
before.
a Metroid game too. Like it's
It's
a copy.
available for,
it's
like-
a copy of a
yeah.
Metroid game. Basically.
There's a 360 version for cheap. It's
PS3 as well.
It's playable everywhere still, thankfully.
And it really, it withstands a test of time. I mean, it's easy to go back and pick this up, and it's still as beautiful as it was, the first time I played it.
All right, we're getting near the end of this episode. Number 12. Another boring modern game.
The microphone.
Franciscan monks out for blood. 3.
Skyrim?
Tatton getting a point.
I just took a guess. I'm like,
At this point, I think we're going to be like
what
Skyrim
modern
for
game
every modern
have we
game.
not covered
Yeah,
yet?
why can't they just-
Skyrim?
no one's voted Skyrim
Oh,
yet.
look
We
at
know it's
that.
popular.
Ultra realism and unappealing music.
But
And
you
a
can
fun
make your
arrow to the
horses
knee
look like
them.
My Little Ponies.
Oh, wait, okay, hold on. Has anybody played Skyrim in this room?
No.
I played a little bit of Skyrim. I played a lot more Oblivion.
Okay.
Okay, we talked about Oblivion in our last episode, but just I kind of did my little thing that I really love what they did with the depth of it. Like, that you can explore every little nook and cranny, and there's whole plays written in some books, and the item creation and the level creation it seems unlimited. But the action aspect of it just feels squishy.
It's very squishy if you're looking for sword play.
I mean, I would prefer, if you're going to have an action RPG, emphasize the action, make it fun to hit things.
Yeah, in Oblivion, I played, in a little bit of Skyrim, I played the archery is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Playing as an archer. Same thing with a mage. My brother plays as a mage whenever he plays. But the sword play action, it's a very awkward swing for everything. So I'm not a fan of the melee play.
Right.
But one of the big things with Skyrim, though, and I think one of the main reasons why it's standing the test of time so much as well is on the PC is the mods.
Right.
Is that the
Ooh,
the
yeah!
Pony mod.
Yeah.
I have actually seen
yeah.
that.
There's you can make your horses look like My Little Ponies.
Then you can actually get
You can-
armor that looks like the ponies. Like you can wear a pony
Yeah.
head.
There's a Star Wars mod where the magic is force powers,
There's
lightning,
any
and
kind of
lightsabers.
mod you can think of. They've done it already.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So, do you have to break the game to do it, or
On the
can
PC,
you
you just install extra
Yeah.
pieces of it, and it installs a mod.
I believe it's just download and install. That's it.
There's
Yes.
lots of YouTube
Brad, do-
videos
do-
about the pony.
Do you have an
mod.
interest in the world of the game, like the overarching story that they're telling, or?
I mean, I've played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, which is where the Elder Scrolls is one of the universes within Dungeons and Dragons. I was never really big into that Elder Scrolls necessarily.
Mhm.
One, it was more of the standard for me.
Mhm.
I enjoyed playing through Oblivion, and I just haven't. I haven't gotten to Skyrim because I don't want to put the time into
Yeah.
it. I know that's probably going to be a time
Time
sucker if I start playing that one.
the strategy guide is bigger than college textbooks, so
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah.
This is the first game with 12 votes, 4 for the 360, 7 for the PC, 1 for the PS3, 12 regular votes, 2 guest votes.
And a crap ton of memes.
Yeah.
Just say, the only thing I know about Skyrim is I used to be an adventurer, and then I took an arrow to the knee. And then, like, there's 50,000 bajillion arrow to the knee jokes on the internet.
Then there's the whole hoarding jokes where somebody took every single item in the game and put it in a cottage. You know?
I started to play it on a recommendation, and I was playing with my daughter in the room just at the beginning. And my brother-in-law walks in and is like, you probably want to pause that. Because the guy's head was about to get chopped off, and that's probably not something that I should be showing in front of my daughter. So, and then I did like the first couple missions, and it's like, I see what's going on here, but it didn't grab me in, and if the game doesn't get me that quickly these days, I just can't get into it. And
I'm the same way.
It's my limited exposure to it, and it's pretty unfair to make a whole judgment based off 20 minutes of gameplay, but. That's all I've got.
Lots of people voted for it, so it must be pretty good.
And I mean, it was a big step up graphics-wise too from Oblivion, which was very blocky.
A big step up from Morrowind too.
Yeah.
But again, it's that realistic. I don't know. It doesn't seem impressive to me anymore. Are we jaded? Am I jaded? Am I the only one?
Well, it's an extremely realistic looking open world game, which I think is part of the impressiveness of it. Is that it's so huge. You're not really limited by anything in what you do. I mean, thousands and thousands of YouTube videos of just doing random shit in the game, firing an arrow up in the air and then having it land on somebody just standing right in front of you. Like there's a YouTube video of a guy who takes and shoots an arrow up in the air of a herald.
You need to play it to know the game. You just have to
dragons flying backwards.
Well, and I mean that is an impressive feat. I mean, considering that you can have a very realistic game that is
sterile
on lockdown, and you can only go certain places. But once you have something that looks that realistic. And
you
it's
can go
designed
into any
for somebody
cave
to do
and
anything and go anywhere and
be anyone
and do whatever.
What if they made this multiplayer?
They're actually coming out with an Elder Scrolls multiplayer MMORPG. It's in beta right now.
Is this going to be the first one
that I know of? Yeah.
Wow.
This is
the series.
This series. Yeah. I believe it's in beta right now.
I don't know about because I think of this as like, even though I don't play them that much, it's the one-player game series, and now of course this has to be a multiplayer game now.
Yeah, because like I'm totally not interested in playing any MMOs.
Yeah,
like I don't like. It doesn't appeal to me to
Triple
have to
Triad
make
Online?
friends with strangers.
Triple Triad Online?
I
It was
don't
a
know what
thing.
it
Oh
is.
my fucking god!
It doesn't appeal to me to try to make friends with strangers. Like I've seen douche nozzles just on freaking online poker games. Like I don't want to have to like form a clan and have to fight somebody with some dude who's gonna Leroy Jenkins me. Like I don't.
So you're never going to be able to get her on Eve Online.
So, like, I think that Skyrim, that type of game would, if I was going to play a game, like that's what I would play.
Hopefully
because I could do it by myself and not have to worry about like banding with a team of whatever.
Hopefully they'll keep coming out with one-player versions of the game. Yeah.
I would imagine they would.
Does he play online or does he play?
Yeah. Well, he doesn't
more
play online.
one-player?
He plays one-player games.
Yeah, he prefers that.
Yeah. And this is one of the highest modern games on our list, and it got all the way up to 12. So we're obviously not a
less than 2
classic
years ago.
only show. But it does really impress me from looking at it from afar. But again, it's just not my cup of tea as far as a game. But the more and more we go through this list, I realize how much of a curmudgeon I am and my limited focus of what I like. But what can you do? Here we go. The last game of episode 4. Number 11.
Super Metroid.
Super effing Metroid.
Oh, yeah. It's above Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
Guess that makes sense.
And equally beautiful.
Yes.
No, maybe not equally. I mean, I still think Symphony of the Night is the like epiphany of 2D.
But compare the hardware.
Yeah, on the Super Nintendo, amazing that they pulled
it has
this
no
off.
slowdown. This game, no, that's not a big deal. Sorry.
The weird thing about Super Metroid is the legend of that game has grown. It was not that big of a hit back in its
It
day.
wasn't. No.
I remember
it wasn't advertised that heavily either.
Wasn't advertised. I got it about a week or two after it came out from a Blockbuster and beat it that first weekend and didn't think much of it after that for a long time.
It has replayability though.
You can
just jump right into it.
It's just turned into this monster of a legend. I mean, it's just like Earthbound, except not as ridiculously expensive. Super Metroid's the greatest game ever, and obviously it's number 11 on our list. It got 13 votes. Got a host vote. Who voted for it? All four of us. You voted for that one too.
Yeah.
And the way it tied up loose ends, and I have my little nitpicks here and there, like I do with all these games with like the key, like the super bombs. That's just stupid and that sort of thing. But other than that, like that giant crate, the first time you see that thing, holy shit!
Yeah.
And it acknowledged the second game in the series as part of the plot. And it said Metroid 3 at the beginning. So everything is canon up to that point.
And that game was creepy. Like, it had a really creepy feel to it.
And obviously the big holy shit moment at the very end with the baby Metroid.
Yep.
That, holy shit.
And I talked about this earlier when we had Metroid on the list, and it just kind of... It was still... had a lot of hidden secrets, but it refined it a little bit and gave you some clues. It didn't tell you what to do.
It kind of held your hand.
No.
I was stuck
in it
because of the key items. Like once you got the X-ray, whatever.
But you still had to use that in the rooms,
right? But like if you see a wall that has a super bomb, then you're going to have to get a super bomb to get through there at some point. So once you picked up your super bomb finally, then you backtrack and open all those up again. So it
maybe you had to remember where it was.
Yeah,
but you had a map. That was auto
a bad
drawing.
map. You couldn't go to other sections of it.
I'm not dissing it. It deserves where it is. It's a small nitpick, and I sometimes wish we could go back. I don't think we ever can with the internet, but I do kind of miss that day, like Brad beating Majora's Mask without a help.
Compare the handholding of this game, though, which I wouldn't call it at all, with handholding of like a modern Zelda game, where it tells you for the first 2 hours every single thing you need to do. Like this puts you right in the game. It puts you right in, and you use the context of the levels and the ingenious level design to learn about the world. And then towards the end, you finally get the X-ray, where you can look at the places you didn't find some of the secrets earlier. I don't think it breaks the game at all.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's definitely not broken. It's like I said, it's a nitpick at worst.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Sorry, this one I'm very defensive about too. I guess
I don't mind tools as keys as long as it's done properly, and I think Super Metroid does it properly.
The soundtrack is wonderful. It does great things with the hardware. The flow, like the animation, is very well done. Like the sprites, the
sound effects.
It's nice to see the evolution of games where you take something that you take that animation style that is just like sprite, and like walking is a very basic thing, and you take it and you add those extra sprites in where you have
cells of animation.
Yeah, and suddenly things become more flowing, and it's it's still it's a very beautiful game too, and it's dark.
It surprises you throughout too. Like there's the one boss that comes out after you've defeated it. I forget the name of it, and
it's that skeleton bone guy?
Yeah, he turns into skeleton bones
Was
because
it
he's been
Ridley?
thrown into lava. No,
it was the
mini. It's like a mini Kraid thing.
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
It's like a red. I don't know. It's on the cover actually. And then there's like the abandoned ship part on the right where you like turn on the robots. Like you go through it and it's all dead and there's no enemies, and it reinvents the levels as you're playing them. Yeah.
Good stuff.
The part where you super bomb that like glass tunnel, you have to figure out that you need to do that to get into the water level, and it all shatters and it falls down into the ground, and it stays there. Little pieces stay there. Okay.
And the rain in the beginning was beautiful outside when you first fly the ship in, and
so atmospheric. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're down to the last 10. We've had several different guests comment on the first 90 games, and in a few weeks we're having a party at my place, and hopefully everybody will be there to talk about the last 10.
I do have to point out, I think it's funny that the closer we get to the top of the list, the more our opinions really get drawn out. Like when you look at ours, when we were talking about 100 then to up to 50 or whatever, we're like, yeah, this game's great, whatever. Now it's like we're 50 to
It
10.
has to be perfect for
all
us
of a
to,
sudden.
like,
It's like we're starting to scrutinize them a lot harder. And
Well, and I look at my list, and I imagine that there may be 2 games left on my list that will end up in the top 10. All of the rest of my list are just personal favorites, and that's sad.
It's a pretty damn good top 10. I mean, it's a lot of the same stuff with other top 10s, but there's a couple surprises in there. And it's not Ocarina of Time, so it is going to be a little bit different. So until next time, thanks for listening, guys.
Now you're playing with podcasts.
Now you're playing with podcast.
hey, listeners, this is Tatton. Just wanted to take a quick moment and let you know that there's lots of great places you can follow Now You're Playing With Podcast. We have a Facebook page set up, which is Now You're Playing With Fan Page. We have a Twitter account set up, which is NYPW Tweets, or Now You're Playing With Tweets. And, of course, all the episodes are available for download from NowYou'rePlayingWith.com. So we hope you enjoyed the show. If you like it, please take a moment and send us a message. Let us know what you think about it. And we hope to have some more shows coming for you soon. Until then, thanks for listening.